All right, let's go. Happy Friday. How's it going, everyone? Today, we're going to be talking about this beautiful application, the one that I can't stop talking about and the one that I love the most. And it's the one that I keep returning to over and over again, even though I use professionally all the others. And today, I brought some reinforcement to further talk about how much we love this application. Well, I don't know if we love it, but it's one of the ones that we just keep going back to. So I'm going to start bringing in everybody to chat about this. Give me a second. I want to make sure that everyone comes in all nice and nice. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Slowly but surely. Unmute everybody.
Hey.
Hello,
What up?
people.
How's it going?
What's up, everyone?
We're like the cool Brady Bunch.
As long as I can be Greg.
That's right. We're the I think we're missing one. I did ask a few other people to come join to chat about this this little application we call Final Cut Pro. But yeah, just so we introduce everybody to yourselves, because if you guys aren't following these guys on screen right now, including myself, make sure you go follow them, because they have probably the collective best Final Cut tutorials that are beyond the basics. So you're going to learn a crazy amount. So we're going to start top left and we'll work our way down. So Dylan, please introduce yourself.
Dylan. Wow,
Right.
just choosing me to start it off. Now I'm in trouble. So yeah, I guess I'm supposed to introduce myself. So I am Dylan Bates, the Final Cut Bro. I just create tutorials every week about Final Cut Pro and about Apple Motion. That's something I've been diving a ton into and just showing how to create plugins and stuff like that. And I come from a background in TV. And I am absolutely obsessed with the process of editing. So I'm so stoked to be here and so grateful for Raphael to put this together.
Beauty. Serge,
Okay,
you're up.
glad I didn't get to go first, but Serge Morgach, the Serge M YouTube channel. I've been doing this for about 5 years, and I think I'm the only one here that doesn't do this professionally. This is strictly a hobby, and that's what keeps it fun. I love video editing, love Final Cut Pro, but yeah, and it's all, like I said, just a hobby for me, and it's been a hell of a ride.
You're pretty damn good for it being a hobby.
Good hobbyist.
Yeah, I'll say,
I was
geez.
gonna say, bravo, Serge.
Nice, Serge. Hey, everybody, it's Matthew here. Formerly Midland Pictures on the YouTubes, but now I'm going by Matthew O'Brien. I've been working with Final Cut since day one. I started on Final Cut 7 back in the day, and when Final Cut came out, I was all in. I was working in live concert video content editing at the time, and have since transitioned out of that and mostly do a lot of corporate documentary style stuff on the professional side. And of course, I've had the channel for about 4 years now, but would say I've really been strategic about the channel for the last maybe year and a half. So it's been exciting to grow and help the community and continue to advocate for Final Cut. So thanks, Raphael, for having this live stream, and thanks to all of you who are attending.
So are we skipping you, the host?
Yeah.
Oh,
Everyone knows who I am.
I want to know, Raphael.
My whole channel is about fixing it in camera and finessing it in post. And I love Final Cut Pro as a crew of one editor. And it's the application that I go to all the time. And I make tons of tutorials based around not only Final Cut Pro, but also DaVinci Resolve, and also a lot of camera hacks and just making stuff look better. So fix it in camera, finesse it in post. That's what I'm all about for all the new people that are joining.
I need to get one of your shirts, man. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, for sure.
Kevin.
I need
No,
to
that's
get one
fine.
too.
No, I'll always shut up for free swag. I'm cool with it. My name's Kevin Colby. I'm the old guy in the group. They brought me to bring the median age down.
He's our Obi-Wan Kenobi of the Star Wars cast.
I'm old enough. I remember when it was just called Final. So my background is radio, and then I got into television. I was in TV for a long time. Creative director was my last gig at a station. And so I've been editing a long time. I started on tape, and my first digital was Avid, and I thought, holy crap, this is amazing. I don't even have to time anything anymore. You know, I can just edit. And I've been on Final Cut for a while. I love it. I do think it's the best program out there. I've cut Premiere. I've cut some other ones that aren't even around anymore. Video Toaster. Remember Video Toaster?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I remember Video Toaster, yeah.
But I just help people get into video. I do work a lot with beginners and clients like that are just, they know video is the thing to do, and that's what they want to do. I love it, and I'm a business of one, so my staff meetings are really short, quick.
Josh?
I'm Josh Satin. I'm probably the biggest noob in the group in terms of Final Cut and probably experience. I've been doing YouTube for about 3 years. My main channel is about sustainable small-scale farming, but recently started another channel about cameras and content creation and all that stuff. I was originally using DaVinci Resolve for a long time and switched to Final Cut maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer. So I guess I'm here to explain, like, as a noob, kind of my experience and why I switched. But I've never made a Final Cut tutorial, so I don't know what Raphael's talking about. But I do use it. I do use it pretty much every day. So,
yeah,
but
that's what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, from a very basic level. I don't do a lot of advanced stuff on there.
Well, cool. I am Dylan John Dickerson. I have a channel called Dylan John, and I do the same thing most of these guys do. I have a lot of Final Cut tutorials. I'm also a cinematographer and editor, and I mainly do a lot of corporate work as well. Raphael said he doesn't know if any of us love Final Cut Pro in the beginning. I definitely love Final Cut Pro, and we'll talk more about it. It's intuitive, it's quick, it's fast, it's reliable, and I'm happy to be here with all these beautiful gents.
Yeah, buddy.
Editors assemble.
That's right. And for everyone that's in the
hey,
chat,
Ben.
For everyone that's in the chat, we're going to be doing some giveaways from Color Finale, from Time Bolt, and from Motion VFX. Just want to make sure.
Are we eligible? Do we have to jump out and take the chat and come back?
Can we enter?
Hello, my name is Bob.
Yeah, we're gonna have, and they're gonna be kind of sprinkled throughout the stream because there's quite a few to give away, and these are like full licenses for Color Finale, for Time Bolt, and a plugin from Motion VFX. So if you guys are Final Cut users, you will enjoy that. And if you're not a Final Cut user, Time Bolt is actually it's a standalone app that allows you to cut out all the silences from your video. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But right now, let's get into that first question that I have. So give me 1 second. Yeah, so
drum roll, please.
This is for everybody here. So feel free to answer as you go. But why do you choose Final Cut? Why do you use Final Cut Pro over DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, or even Avid Media Composer? Why do you keep coming back to Final Cut as your main editor of choice?
I'll go first if
yeah, go for it.
I don't know if there's should I raise my hand?
Yeah. Hold a card up.
That's right. So I have never used Premiere, but I have friends that use it. But I have used DaVinci Resolve. I'm not proficient in it. But the reason I love Final Cut, there's a lot of different reasons. For one, the interface is colorful. It is intuitive. The fact that you can see your clip thumbnail just makes sense to me. Whereas like in Resolve, I'm pretty sure you cannot. Premiere, you cannot. Also in Final Cut, you can scrub and with the skimmer and see what you're looking at, and then you have the playhead as well. And that just seems like a logical thing to add to an editing software. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in DaVinci Resolve, you cannot do that. You have to actually manually drag the playhead. Am I right?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I'm not sure. Oh, well, I'm pretty sure.
I'll Google it quick and see.
Yeah. Someone in the chat, I'm sure, uses it more than me, but I've used it quite a bit of times, and I'm pretty sure, unless I'm not knowing, that there's no like scrubbing feature, and that's so useful. And then, of course, I got to bring up the magnetic timeline. In Premiere and DaVinci Resolve, I've seen a lot of people who hate on the magnetic timeline because they just don't understand it. But then the same people will go and do a ripple delete and be like, this is like, for example, in Resolve, it's shift delete, I think. And they'll say, this saves you so much time. And I'm sitting back thinking, this is Final Cut. This is what it is. And it makes sense to have that as the main feature. And then if you do want like a typical editor, then you can use like the tilde key, or the position tool.
That's my buddy Cody commenting. Resolve.
Cody knows.
Auto scrubs. Okay, so I'm wrong. I knew I'd be wrong. And I guess the big thing for me, I do like Resolve's tabs. I like that you have like Fusion for VFX, Fairlight, audio, and stuff like that. I like the way that's set up. But then again, I also like the interface of Final Cut with effects and transitions. And then you have titles and generators, those that are usually like over top or underneath your footage on the left, things that go on your footage or in between them on the right. It just is, it's a great editing software. It makes everything so quick, so easy.
Well, I mean, I started in, my first nonlinear was Avid, and which was amazing. And I've done Premiere. Premiere was fine. One of the reasons I jumped to Final Cut, I'm a Mac guy. I love Macs, and so I could get it. I got tired of paying the rent with the cloud and Adobe. I mean, I didn't use Illustrator. I didn't use Photoshop. I didn't use the gazillion things that you get with it. Premiere is fine. I do think it's harder than it has to be. And so I did the free download for Final Cut and thought, okay, this is like just really better. I mean, and I had an intern once, and the way she described it was like it's more like a visual storyboard. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then just how you can move things around. And so, I mean, one of the reasons I went to it is because I could pay once, own it forever, get all the updates. And it's even gotten better and better and better. And I also think it's one of those things, if you've never edited, but you've kind of got that, that gift and you want to get into it, I think it's an easier program to learn. I haven't messed with DaVinci because I don't care to mess with DaVinci. I love Final Cut. So that's why I got into it, and I use it, and it works.
Well, I think
when you first, sorry to interrupt,
the editor here, like I had the same thing. Like I came from Avid and then went to Final Cut 7, and when Final Cut 7 was transitioned to Final Cut 10, Premiere was like, oh, they jumped in and they essentially created Final Cut 8 at that point. That's what it felt like. And it did take me as well a moment to get used to the magnetic timeline, like that whole concept. But the moment it clicked, it was done. Like I couldn't go back to using other editors. Like Dylan, you mentioned that ripple delete. People are like, wow, this is great. It saves you so much time. It's just like just doing grabbing an end of a clip and dragging it over to make it shorter. Everything else just moves because it's connected in a way. And just like, this makes so much sense. It's non-destructive editing where you try to take a chunk and you have to copy it, make a space, move it over, paste the new thing that you want, close the gap. I'm like, why? When you can just take it, move the whole thing and drop it and you're done. Like once you get past that little bit of like, oh, there may be some weirdness that happens, but like, you still have to clean up. It even makes sense on the other side. Yeah.
And that's really
Kevin,
the key for me. Sorry, Dylan. Sorry, buddy.
No, go ahead, Matthew.
Well, please hold your interrogation till the end.
I just want to touch on what's at the core of Raphael's point. And for me, the core of that is what I think a lot of us as creatives get into, which is the creative flow. When we have a vision for a video, or we're really feeling that the images are coming together, hitting the music just right, we get into a flow state where kind of time disappears and we really are tapping into something that it might sound a little corny, but for me, it's almost sort of supernatural or magical. I know I use that word a lot. And the beauty of Final Cut for me, especially after having edited in Final Cut 7 and a little bit in Avid for many years, was I wasn't disrupted out of that creative flow as much with Final Cut Pro 10. I could go incredibly long stretches of time literally editing at the speed I could think something up, because the magnetic timeline stays out of your way. And to add to that, sort of the hidden feature to me, or the that secret menu item that everybody should be talking a little bit more about with Final Cut for me, is the browser and the capabilities, both when you think about metadata and the organizational aspects with keywording and favoriting. It's a pain to log all your footage, but I've worked on a lot of documentary projects with Final Cut, and once that footage is logged, the search capabilities in the browser, again, going back to the flow state, if I'm like, I need that shot that had the grandfather clock in it, and I had gone through at the beginning and logged all that, I can literally just type in the search menu after I log the way I log, grandfather clock, and bam, the clip is right there. And I grab it and I'm moving on. I'm not sitting there spending all this time looking at the thumbnails or trying to find where that thing was in whatever bin it was, and disrupting that creative flow. So those elements for me, even the timeline index, all of these features of Final Cut, I feel like are funneled around the art and craft of editing. Even if you think back to when editors worked with strips of film and cut and taped them together, it was not an engineering feat to do that. And now with video being, ones and zeros and everything's so much more engineering oriented, DaVinci, Premiere, Avid, especially Premiere and DaVinci, those are great programs for tackling the engineering side of video. I need non-drop frame, I need interlaced, I need all these things, bitrate and all this stuff. And Final Cut can do some of that to a certain extent. But when you just think about the art and craft of video editing, that's what I feel like Final Cut's for. And that's where I really love the program, because it allows me to create at the speed of thought and get all that technical stuff out of the way so I can just be connected to the footage and my vision.
Yeah,
Great
there's
points.
definitely a technical aspect that is missing from Final Cut, that is an underlying feature of it, where you don't have to think about the technicalities of the footage. But that's probably one of the things that a lot of pro editors really don't like about it, is that you don't have that kind of nuanced control. But when you do start logging it, when you do start letting the application do the heavy lifting for those things that don't need it, especially if you're a crew of one, you're doing all the logging yourself. You're favoriting all your clips, and it doesn't matter what format you're using, because you can, as long as the timeline is the output format that you want, everything else kind of blends in nicely.
What nuance control would you be talking about in those other editors?
Well, for example, in Premiere and DaVinci, you can export an AAF, so you can do sound turnover. In Final Cut, you have to have a $150 companion app to do that. Things like that can be a little bit frustrating, especially when an AAF seemingly is so simple to kick out for Pro Tools or Audition or whatever your sound mixer is working in. Now, a lot of Final Cut Pro editors, may not be in those high-end pro workflows where you're doing turnover to color and turnover to sound. So the fact that Final Cut relies on a lot of third-party apps, and you sort of have to get out of the sandbox of Final Cut a little bit and rely sometimes on small third-party companies, which is, really nice that ecosystem is fed by Final Cut at its source. But sometimes if you're in a really high-stakes, gig, whether it's corporate, film, whatever, is that app company going to survive? Because that's the one app that does that thing I need.
Yeah.
Well, that's the interesting thing. A lot of these apps are also pay once and they just stick with you. So
True.
even if it's kind of legacy stuff, you're still able to use it. And the cost associated with buying all these apps or even plugins, someone mentioned that that was one of the hindrances for Final Cut. It's still cheaper than going subscription with Premiere, even though it has some of that functionality, but it still relies on so many plugins as well. But
True.
That's the one thing that DaVinci has over all of these apps, where it's free. So you can't complain about the price. But yeah. So who hasn't talked about why they love Final Cut?
I haven't. Serge hasn't.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Raise your
Serge, you
hand.
go first.
Okay, I'll
Raise your
go
hand.
first.
We're going to play nice.
My biggest thing is, like I said, this is just a hobby for me. I don't have a background in video, and it's the barrier of entry to this. Like you can be brand new, you can hop in, and it's just like iMovie. You can put together a movie, and as you learn, as you keep going, you can keep expanding. So basically, when you're brand new, you have an idea, and it's so easy to put it together into a movie, and everything just works. It's like typical Apple thing.
Yeah.
And then as you get better, you got tons of room to expand.
Yeah,
And-
lots of tools.
And once you figure it all out, it's just as good as Premiere. It's just as good as DaVinci. You can do anything you want on there.
I'd argue it's
How's
better.
it going, guys?
Okay, yeah.
Hey, Jay. Glad you can make
Oh,
it.
hey, Jay.
I lost power. Sorry about that.
Of course, of all the days.
Of all the days.
It was like 10 seconds. 10 seconds
Yeah.
before we went live. It was like poof, everything. I'm like,
You're like, no.
He was actually uploading his copy of Premiere Pro on eBay. He had to hop on.
yeah, exactly.
And yeah,
Yes.
the no subscription.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
pay once and it's yours forever. Love that part.
Well, raise your hand if you bought it as soon as they released it?
Final Cut Pro 10? I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Day
no,
one.
no,
You're
no.
Dylan, get out.
Yeah.
No, it's 1 or 2 hours.
The sooner you buy it, cheaper it becomes long term.
I'm not cool.
Exactly.
Like, I think it works out to like $2 a month, like if you're really picky about it, or even less at this point.
I think
Where
Alex
and it's
4D had a tweet a little while back where he actually figured out how much it costs per upgrade, and it was I'm like just over $1.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's so
so,
solid.
So I originally, speaking on the price, I saved up for Final Cut Pro mowing lawns at like
Nice.
$10 a lawn. As a 13-year-old kid, I bought Final Cut Pro, and I still have Final Cut Pro, and it's paying my bills for like the last 6 years of my
Hell
life.
yes.
Very
How
cool.
crazy is that a 13-year-old kid is providing for himself?
Good for
way
you,
later
dude. That's
on.
awesome.
So that's huge for me. And like you were saying, the cost of the subscription is so expensive with the plugins. I'm happy to pay $150 for a simple plugin because that's like just over 2 months of an Adobe subscription. And so
Great point.
it's so crazy. You can put your money into good plugins that you need, but a lot of the time you don't need the plugins. There are so many features that are in Final Cut Pro, and also Apple Motion.
I was gonna
Don't
say,
sleep on
look at
Motion.
Apple Motion.
hop over to Dylan's
Like-
channel and watch it.
Like
I'm glad this
real-time
wasn't called
playback,
Why We
right,
Love
Dylan?
Apple Motion.
Yeah. So that's been huge. And then, like Matthew was saying, it's such a joy to edit. It's so fast. It works at the speed of your thought. Once you've learned, just the basics of editing. And I know people for a while were calling it iMovie Pro, like that was a bad thing. I think that is such a good thing because the barrier of entry is so low. iMovie is a really simple program to understand, and Final Cut Pro is seemingly that simple on top, but there are so many hidden features that once you learn Final Cut Pro, it's way beyond what you could expect. And I'm still learning new stuff every day. That's what's been fun about doing the channel, is like I'm constantly learning, and from all these guys over here making great videos. So yeah, I just love how fast Final Cut Pro is. And I don't think I could do 2 videos a week like I'm doing if I didn't have Final Cut Pro, because I just need it to be working so fast.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll speak up now. For me, I'm making YouTube videos. I'm making probably 2 or 3 videos a week for the last couple of years, and I was a PC user for a long time and got a PC to edit video originally for just 1080 video, and when I switched up to 4K, it was like struggling a little bit, and I originally started with DaVinci just because it was free, and I was like, all right, it's free, we'll start this up. Eventually I paid for a subscription because it does run better with the paid subscription. And then the M1 Max came out, and friends were like, hey, you should try this, and I bought an M1 Mini, and I've heard like from everyone how amazingly quick they are at editing video. Put DaVinci on there, wasn't super happy with it, and some people were like, hey, try Final Cut. So I downloaded the trial, tried it out, and it was very hard for me at first, like you guys were talking about the magnetic timeline, to switch from, DaVinci style to, but it took like 2 videos, I would say, to like force myself, and then all of a sudden, like, it just switched, and I got it, and it's been great since. For me, it's like, it does what I need, and there's not much extra. When I'm in DaVinci, it seems like there's like no end to the like options and little things in there, and I feel like it's just way over my head most of the time, and I kind of just stay in like little areas of it to like not screw things up. But Final Cut for me just kind of has everything I have in there, and for me, I enjoy color grading, but I don't do like very artistic color grades. I'm kind of just making it how I like it. It seems to work fine for me. So for me, it was like speed and efficiency is really, when you're trying to crank out like 3 YouTube videos a week, it's like how fast can you get it done? And Final Cut was just quicker. I tried
so many YouTube videos. How do you do it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's
another
great.
video.
I spent all week on one.
Show us the.
Yeah, I'll help you guys.
Yeah, I guess
You
it's
want to edit mine?
I don't have time. I don't know, man.
Well, you guys know all of our clients, we just push a button that says edit, and
Right.
it just gets done, right?
Yeah, that's true. We do.
I have an
love
I
the
Dream
edit,
of Genie editor over
That's
here. I
right.
just put stuff in. And
Yeah, let me just
do
hit the
that,
edit
and
button, and you'll have your video tomorrow.
Thank
though. That
goodness.
was easy.
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah, so
Jason,
I don't know. I actually
Right.
came from iMovie, believe it or not. I started with Adobe Premiere Elements because I didn't know anything about editing at all. So I was super good at Photoshop. So I was like, let me try the Adobe product. And Premiere was impossible. It was just the learning curve was so steep. So I ended up doing, Elements, Premiere Elements, and then I got a Macintosh, finally a MacBook Pro. So then I tried iMovie, and that was just like, I couldn't believe how easy it was. Like the drag and drop, it was crazy. So then I heard about the magnetic timeline, and I got, I was like, well, that's interesting. So I ended up trying Premiere Pro anyway, and it just kept crashing. I don't know if it was my Mac or what. And then at that point, I just bit the bullet. I was like, I bought Final Cut, started watching videos, and then I was hooked immediately. It was so easy. And then once I started figuring out some of the more powerful things from these guys in particular, I mean, it's just every day I use it, I'm getting better and better. It just, you never stop learning. It's an incredible program, so powerful. But
well, overall, the application it has grown a lot since that first day. There was a lot of growing pains with the application, but it's at such a point right now that doesn't need to have OMF export, or for the people that need it, they just use that companion app. And the reason it doesn't have OMF or AAF is because it's a licensing issue where Apple would have to pay huge amounts of money just to put it into the app. And because it's installed on so many computers, that number would be huge. So they're like, well, why do it when there's already a third-party app? And they kind of just point people in that direction. So
they only have $3 trillion. No,
almost $1 trillion,
right? There's a reason.
Well, and I think that brings up another question, and not to go down this rabbit hole, Raphael, but who is Final Cut Pro intended for? Is it for top workflows at film, television studios, or is it more for what a lot of us have become, which is content creators on YouTube? Or is it for, the younger generation to, as a gateway into the Apple ecosystem, both hardware and software, as one of the main tools for video literacy, which you could argue is an essential skill, just like reading is, being able to communicate with video and storytelling. So, not that we necessarily have to go down that rabbit hole, Raphael, but, that's something that comes up in a lot of discussions about Final Cut. Who is this app truly intended for? And I feel like Apple is trying to go for a larger group of people to be able to use this versus something like an Avid Media Composer, which is really specific to high-end film, television, and documentary workflows. Not only the barrier of entry with how much it costs, but the amount of technical knowledge you might have to have in order to use it, and things like that.
My perspective on who this is for is anybody who enjoys editing. Right there, like the creative part of editing. If you're a technical editor, where someone mentioned this before in the chat, where they're saying that finishing in DaVinci Resolve is way more technically accurate and you can get precise in it. Final Cut, it's like, I hope this is right. Like if you're getting to that kind of minutia, and that was part of the feature set that I was talking about, where the color tools, they're okay, they're good, they do the job, but I don't know if it's perfect. Also,
that's how
with
DaVinci Resolve. Sorry.
And also with the audio capabilities, they're lacking, like sorely lacking in it. And there isn't even a way to bridge between Logic Pro, where in DaVinci they have Fairlight, where I'm going to get into this a little bit later, like about DaVinci, but it's when you're just sitting down to edit and all you want to do is think of the creative process. Final Cut lets you jump in right away comparatively. You don't have to set up the timeline. You don't have to just literally drag from the folder into the project and then just start editing. Like that process is so simple. You don't even have to organize if you don't want to. So it doesn't require you to do that. It doesn't require you to have steps to prep yourself to get editing. You don't need an assistant editor. It is your assistant editor.
Yeah, great point.
That's true.
That's one of the things I wish Final Cut had, was more of a collaboration tool. It is mainly used as a solo way to edit, And I wish it had like, I don't know what Premiere has, what it's called, but just the ability to share projects easily would be so key if Final Cut could bring that in. Also, like the ease in and ease out features, if we could get some smooth keyframe animations. I feel like that's such a simple thing to add.
Add motion.
Simple.
We've been asking for so
Yes.
long.
I know. Yeah.
Gotta get that add motion plugin.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the
That's
collaborative
worth
side,
every penny.
on the collaborative side, you do have to look at third-party apps in order to make that possible with Final Cut, and it's not going to replicate what Avid is famous for. Working on the Avid and being able to have multiple editors accessing a project simultaneously. But PostLab has done some really great work to make it so that a lot of creators, I know iJustine is one of the more famous ones who's using PostLab in a remote workflow with her editor, and she made a great video showing how they go about doing that. Now, they're not in the library together at the same time, like working on an edit, but they can pass a Final Cut library back and forth over the cloud, as well as the media, to create a collaborative workflow that is doable. But again, you're looking at partnering with another application to do that, whereas DaVinci Resolve is using like local networking. You can set all the computers up on a network and access a project at the same time. I've had some friends here do that for a short film they did post-production on. It had its share of bugs, but it did work.
A question about that. Is that in the free version as well?
I don't know. Cody Jones, look for his comment. He'll if he's still in, he will.
Come on, Cody.
He'll let us know. We're
Counting on you, buddy.
If nobody knows Cody, if he pops up in the comments, Cody does a lot of the color work for me for the corporate stuff that I do. So he's not a DaVinci Resolve editor, but he's a colorist and he does really incredible work. So he knows a lot of the features of DaVinci. So Cody, if you know if the free version, the free version of Resolve allows you to do the sharing of projects, let us know in the comments.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next question, but before we do that, let's do the first giveaway for Color Finale.
This bridges the gap between Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve as far as color grading, especially because they just added. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please. Yeah.
They just added a new feature that is the same as in DaVinci Resolve. You have the primary wheels and the log wheels. Primary wheels you use for like bigger pushes in the beginning, and then log is more gradual. They just added that into Color Finale. And
nice.
I asked for it last year. Whether they added it because of me, my ego tells me yes, but probably
It was
not.
you. It was you.
Oh, Dylan.
Is that why it's called the Dylan plugin?
The Dylan.
Yeah,
the Dylan
it did
update.
change it.
Here's how we're going to do this giveaway. We're going to do this live in the chat right now. So if you're in the chat, this is how you get to win it. We are choosing a number between 1 and 100, and the person to get the number or closest will win. So start putting in your numbers. The first person, and you only get one guess. So your first guess is the one that you kind of go with. So whoever puts that in, I'm going to do a random number generator right now on my phone. And yeah, just speaking of Color Finale, it is an application that I love using, mainly
Surgeon
because
Dylan needs to lean down. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
this stream is not.
He was going to be the hunkered over bro, but that was too long.
They don't want to be this guy.
Bro.
Hey guys, what's going
Serge,
on?
all of a sudden you look like mini me. You just shrunk down there, dude.
Okay, well, right now, here we go. And okay, so everyone has their guess in.
Yep. No more guesses.
You guys can see that. Probably not.
Nope.
So much suspense. It sees your
all
eyes.
too bright.
The number. Yeah, the screen. There we go.
Turn the brightness down.
There we go. Is that better? No focus.
Nope.
No, it's just duller out of focus. It's not as bright.
So much.
Focus. Okay, and the number is 29. Damn it.
29. Look, somebody just
29.
typed it in.
Anyone say
Congratulations.
29?
So who's the closest to 29?
Let's
I got a
see.
23.
Your brain is 23.
Oh, 25.
I got a 23.
And that's
Oh,
Orto
25?
Litton. Yeah.
Oh, yep.
She was the first one.
don't
Has
cheat, people.
25.
Yeah,
Don't go
don't
in and
cheat. Here we go.
comment.
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
I
you're
think
right.
the first comment gets it.
Annette.
And
Yeah,
that.
wow. Very impressive. First comment.
Nice.
Congratulations.
We got ourselves a winner. Nicely done. So, Annette, if you can actually just direct message me on Instagram. I believe you're following me, and I'm following you.
And
If
you
you
should
can-
if you don't.
That's
You
right.
can send Raphael a credit card for $29.95. We'll get that right out to you.
Completely free, only $29.95.
Takes Venmo.
So there's 2 more color finales to give away, but we're also going to do Time Bolt next, and then we're going to do Motion VFX plugin. So congratulations, Annette.
Very nice.
Make sure you send me a DM on Instagram because we can't do any of the banners. Hold on, let me get rid of this.
Do your
There's,
Instagram banner.
I kind of like it.
We don't
It's
need to
nice.
see
There
them.
you go.
Oh,
It's like
too
the Masked
funny.
Singer.
All of a sudden, being on the bottom row didn't sound so bad.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
So
Shut up, Dan,
the
man.
next question that's coming up is, what is your favorite feature of Final Cut Pro? Like what is the thing that you're like, I love this that isn't present in the other features? And I'm going to take magnetic timeline off the table.
Yeah, that's the obvious one.
Not that simple. I'm not going to let you guys just be like magnetic timeline because that's my answer.
First, if you guys don't mind, but the speed, like how amazingly fast it is, especially if you got one of the new M1 or M1 Pros. Like,
Yeah, it's
you can
phenomenal.
have a base. Like, I got a base model Mac Mini, and it's lightning fast. Like a $800
Faster than any
computer.
iMac I've
And
had.
like
Yeah.
$800
Faster than my
computer,
Mac
and you
Pro.
can edit 4K video with no problems, and you can export it in no time, and you can get it up to YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, speed.
Incredibly quick.
I like the speed ramping, like using like a
yeah.
120 video and slowing
That's
it
a good
down
one.
and speeding it up.
Mhm.
It's unbelievable. You could just finesse it, to the audio, and it's so easy to use that particular aspect. I love it. I use it all the time. Every time I have an opportunity to do slow mo, I'm like, oh yeah, sit there. It's like
Almost
Your
like
chops.
hold function, right, Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan, the hold frame.
Yeah, freeze frame.
Great video. You should go check it out. After the screen. After the
Plug
screen.
it.
right,
I would say, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Matthew.
I was gonna say I had 2 that were a toss up. So one of them was autosave. Like
Wow.
you hear a lot of Premiere Pro editors, like it crashes and they lose 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes worth of work. I was just commenting on Twitter. I have been using Final Cut since day one, and the most work I ever lost was one time. It was 15 minutes of work. I had it crash the other day, and Final Cut does crash every once in a while, but it crashed yesterday. And literally the thing I did the nanosecond before it crashed, when I relaunched it, that thing was done. I didn't have to do it over again. Just the fact that it can save literally instantly and then crash, to me, is unbelievable.
And
So
there is no setup for it. Like it's just out of the box.
Yeah,
That's
out
the
of
way
the
it
box.
works.
autosave.
In Premiere, you have to enable it. Like, really?
And it's not that reliable in Premiere from the people I've heard from. I mean, it does it,
reliable enough. Yeah.
but it's not. I don't think it's doing it as quickly as Final Cut does, because I
No,
don't
it's
know that
almost like-
Final Cut
Yeah.
does it at any interval. It's not like Final Cut autosaves every 5 minutes. It's like constantly saving it.
Yeah, when I was at the TV station, when we got Premiere Pro, because we had PCs for a while. Sorry, and that was the engineering department. There's so much better. We don't understand Macs. And I
don't
can't tell
understand
you how many
happiness.
projects we would lose because it'd be like, oh, wait a minute, I can go in and change the autosave from like, I think the default. I at one point I think it was like 30 minutes, and I'm like, who in the world?
Yeah.
Even
Ow.
15, even 5 minutes. I mean, there's
the
a couple of
autosave
things. Do what?
in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Like why? Like in Premiere, like it goes. Wait, I'm auto saving. Thanks.
Mhm.
Yes.
By the
yes,
way.
yeah.
Like, so you can't make it every
Yeah.
5 minutes. because then every 5 minutes you get that.
You're
pop-up.
interrupted.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's just it's that flow.
And I think
mean,
that's the nature of what Apple did in making a Final Cut library, which is something that people who move from Premiere and DaVinci have a hard time understanding. You know, Resolve has a project. Final Cut 7 had like a little project file, so you like have to tell the computer to update that. With the library and whatever magic Apple did to create the concept of a Final Cut library, it just does it automatically.
I mean, I use a ton of plugins, mostly from Motion VFX, but I mean, I love them, and I don't know if we're going to get into that later. I know with the giveaway, but you know, you can do so much with the plugins, even beyond what they just kind of promote when you buy them. That's what I love about it. But, and I think Dylan or somebody touched about this, even if you didn't even have the plugins, there's tons of cool features built into Final Cut Pro that a lot of times I haven't even still used. That's one. And honestly, I'm a very visual person. So the fact that I can jump back and forth between like the thumbnail look to the audio and just back and forth, it just helps me visually see what I'm editing, shrinking it down and almost looking at an animated storyboard, if you will. Those are the two of the reasons I like it. They're two of my favorite things.
I would say
no,
ahead,
Dylan. The better Dylan.
All right, fine.
Fight!
Thank you, sir. I know that Matthew touched on this, but the organizational features are so key. Yes, took it from you.
Yeah.
But like smart collections, you can add keywords and stuff. And one of my favorite things to do is to select, to make a clip. If I like a clip, put it as a favorite, and then make a smart collections where I have favorites that are unused. So then I can just find all the clips that are not used and are the best clips. It just is, it makes everything so much quicker. So much quicker.
I think that's a good idea for a quick tutorial vid, Dylan, right there.
I've done it. I did it in my 1 minute
it?
Fridays that just did not do well. Unfortunately, people loved them, but they did not do too well. And it was kind of before shorts.
Yeah.
So they were landscape. It was different, but
I'm gonna have to check those out because that's something I haven't done yet, which use a smart collection combined with favorites to isolate an unused favorite. That's awesome.
It's key, yeah.
Yep.
All right. So in case somebody steals this before I say it, I have to keep changing what I'm going to say because you guys keep stealing all the good. So I don't know if you've ever worked with multicam editing in Final Cut, but holy cow, is it awesome. It's literally like working in real time. You just push the numbers on your keyboard and it doesn't matter if you're working with 8K footage or whatever. It's just flying. So multicam editing is amazing in Final Cut Pro. One of my favorite features that I actually use all the time, even when it's not requiring multiple cameras.
Yeah, I do it for all my YouTube videos, and it's just a single angle.
Yep, it's so good.
But I make it into two.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I got most of the things you guys have said, but for me, I think I agree with Serge. It's the speed and sort of I don't know. For me, it's like if I'm making so many videos, it lowers the friction level. And I think anything in content creation wise, like you can lower your friction level. Like if it's having your gear set up ready to go, if it's learning your camera really well so that you can just turn it on and be ready to start recording. Final Cut just does that for me. It's just quick. It boots up quick. It runs quick. I can edit quickly. It just seems like there's very little friction. It just works so well. With the M1 Mac especially, it just seems like everything is in line. Like everything kind of works together just so well. Like I can't explain it any more than that. So, Serge, I totally agree with you. But yes, the multicam editing is so easy. Like the audio, I don't even know how the audio just syncs up like automatically. You just, I don't know.
No more pluralize. No more pluralize.
No more.
We've got Jason.
Well, I already talked about the speed ramping stuff, but
sorry.
It's just pretty much what everybody said. The speed of the program, the lack of crashing, the organization. I mean, I use those smart collections, but that's like a brilliant idea Dylan came up with. I haven't utilized it to
I
that
didn't come up
yet.
with it. I mean, it's definitely a feature.
He came up with the plugin for color resolve.
Yeah, good on that, Dylan. Good job, man.
Dylan invented Final Cut Pro.
Our collections, it was me.
DCP.
You're welcome.
I like how you can import. You know, when you import all the different folders, like Matthew has these amazing templates he set up, and when you import your footage, all the folders are named what camera. It's very simple. I'm a simple. I don't organize like to the level Matthew does, but just to keep things simple, I'll just have folders for different cameras, and then the footage is in the appropriate camera folder. And then when I import that footage, it automatically assigns a smart, collection or whatever it's called to that folder. So it's like it's not as like detailed, but it's good enough for me. I can just go, oh, that's the GoPro or that's the A6400. Yep. I know what I use those cameras for that project. So it's very easy to isolate limited amounts of footage that way as a more minimalist user, I guess you would call it. But yeah, it's amazing. Great program.
Serge?
I think I had my turn on this.
You did?
We can keep going. Yeah. I got a bunch more features we can talk about.
Tell us more.
I'm going to say my favorite thing. My favorite thing is keyframes. Oh man,
interesting.
No.
That brought the room down.
Like one of my favorite about that is no, 100% no. One of my favorite things is the fact that they did open up to third-party companies to allow for the plugins. So much so that it was so successful that now Adobe has their MoGerts, which is essentially the exact same thing, but they're a pain to use, where all the plugins that are designed for Final Cut, the titles, the transitions, everything, all the generators that you can create, they just feel like they're part of the application. You can't really tell one from the other when you're using it, so it doesn't feel different. That was one of my favorite things moving into Final Cut, because I have a long background of using After Effects. So when I was able to just build an entire rough edit, even with visual effects and some graphics, and then showed it to the client for the first time, they're like, "This is fantastic! Like, you're almost done." I'm like, "No, this is all rough." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" Like, for them, they didn't know the process. They just thought like, wow, you spent way too much time making this stuff. I'm like, I didn't spend any more time than was needed to build that. So it's definitely one of those great things that when you're working on a client and they don't care which editor you're using, it's the one I immediately go to, because I know I can do so much more without leaving the application, minus audio editing, but that's a whole nother thing. Usually I send it off to audio engineers. But yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say I've worked side by side with a few directors where I'm the editor, they're the director, and they're used to working with an editor in Premiere or Resolve or Avid, and they'll give me a slightly complex revision to something I put together, and I'll go click, click, click. Okay. And they're like, "Wait, what? You're done?" I thought we were going to take a coffee break and you were going to like drag your whole timeline down to the end and put that one clip in and put it all back. So that's something that like I love when a director comes in and I'm working in Final Cut, and they're able to get a sense of that speed as well by going, "Holy cow, like we did more work in a sit down session in one day with Final Cut than I've ever done with an editor in another NLE."
I did a
experience where doing this snapshot duplicate, where they're like, "Oh, can we just try a different variation?" So I would make a snapshot duplicate, do a different variation. They're like, "No, let's go back to the other thing." And I would just open up the previous one. They're like, wait, like,
don't you have to do a bunch of stuff first?
Like I know that you can duplicate the thing, but it saved all the things, all the edits. And there's also another, because there's duplicate, there's snapshot. And then there's one more where it'll change everything, like even the compound clips and stuff like that. So I like that you have the versatility.
You have options.
Exactly.
Yeah. Duplicating, if you mess with the compound clip in the other project, it will also affect that. But then snapshot is the way to go. Snapshot
Isolate
is key. Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to say, I
So-
did a 48-hour film festival.
Mhm.
And so obviously I'm going to be the editor since Final Cut is just so quick. But I worked with people who
Stable.
use Premiere and Stable. That's right. And I worked with people who use Resolve. They may be watching. I'm not sure. I sent them a link, but they were amazed at how fast I was able to edit. And one of them who switched to Premiere said, "Dude, I think I'm going to switch back to Final Cut because this is absolutely incredible that you're getting all this done so fast." Yeah, it's so incredibly quick. What happened to Raphael? Our host is out.
He's
What do we do, guys?
Yeah. So so
What do we do?
I'm still here. I'm still here.
Oh, that's
There's a technical issue of us.
We were going to start giving away your gear.
Yeah,
yeah.
Speaking of
Here's
giveaway,
my
let's
biggest
do
complaint.
Time Bolt.
Oh, he's doing the giveaway.
Let's do Time Bolt, because I want to make sure that we give these away because these
Yeah.
are awesome prizes.
And we're at an hour already. Holy cow.
I know.
Oh, look, there's our mystery pros.
That's right. One second. Let me drop this down.
You know, there's an app for that. It'll just shrink.
So again, we're gonna do 1 to 100. For first person to get closest to the number, it's gonna get the numbers are gonna get bigger moving forward. So be
But
ready.
you've
for
retired 27, right? It's like up on the rafters. You won't use it again, or
Sure, 29 is out. So I'm pretty sure when I hit the generate button, we won't get that. So if you guys want to win a copy of Time Bolt, put in your number. Your first number is the one that we're going to count. Number between 1 and 100. And I'm going to hit the auto generate, random
we got it.
generate button. Here we go. Keep going. And all right, we got ourselves a number. Gonna give it a few more seconds. Make sure you get it in.
Just enter your credit card information in the chat.
make sure you put your pin in.
And your
when you
social
do that.
security number as well.
So for a copy of Time Bolt, and Time Bolt, again, it's a standalone app that allows you to edit out all the pauses and silences within your video. So you literally drag the clip onto the application, and in like 10, 15 seconds, it'll go through the entire thing, and you can render out that video as it is. You can then spit out an XML, bring it into whatever editor you're using. I recommend Final Cut Pro. And it just saves you a lot of time. I remember the first time I used it, when I went to go edit my A-roll, it felt like I was editing backwards because all those edits were gone. So then I was just finding the best take that I wanted, and I would move on. So it actually sped up my whole editing process. I had a 45-minute clip, and it removed 18 minutes of silence. I was like, geez, I need to talk better.
Teleprompter, baby. Teleprompter.
Yeah, even with the teleprompter, I mess up.
Sadly.
Ditto. Yeah, for sure.
And the winner is, the winner is 86.
80. Oh, we got an 89. J&J Productions. Another 89. Also,
289s.
I see Ryan
Yeah.
Walters, 89.
What do you do for a tiebreaker?
looks like Ryan Walters was the first one to put it in. I assume that's
Was
how.
that Price is Right rules,
Actually,
or?
it should be a
Right,
fight.
I know.
You
No,
guys
you
have
can
to
go
meet
over.
each
Rock,
other in
Paper,
fight.
scissors.
Fight.
An editing
That's
duel.
right.
They got
An editing battle.
So I'm going to say that Ryan Walters is the winner because
All right.
he got it first.
Nice.
Ryan.
Congrats,
Congrats, man.
Time
Congratulations.
for being so generous.
Time Bolt. It's a Time Bolt for the giveaway.
Serge
right.
and Dylan are just
Ryan-
excited to pick somebody, so you'll get rid of that graphic over their head.
Make sure you
It's
find
making
me
the
on
stream better.
Instagram at Capricorn8. I think my link is in the description. Find my Instagram there and DM me, and I'll get that to you. Let me get rid of this.
You know, Raphael, I
For
never
those-
thought about you doing this as a way just to build your Instagram following. This is absolutely genius.
Well, there is no messaging app in YouTube. There used to be.
There was?
There's
Yeah,
an
there used-
email. There's a business inquiry email, but
Whoa. Relax.
Yeah, we know how well that works.
I get lots of spam in there.
Yeah, lots of spam.
So, let's move on to that next question. unless so.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I'm gonna walk away now.
Yeah.
Nothing. I love it. It's perfect.
So
Cover
Here's
your
my-
ears, Apple.
here's my biggest dislike with Final Cut Pro. It's too fast, so I can't
Ugh.
charge as much hourly.
So
What's
fast.
the deal, man?
Yeah.
It's cutting my rates down to a quarter of what they're worth. No, in all seriousness,
more.
everybody's gonna say this, but I'm gonna steal it first. Audio is awful in Final Cut
Yes,
Pro. So
mixing.
Apple, we would love some really solid mixing tools. I know you're not watching, but I'm pretending like you are, so I feel better about myself. So
Yep.
we need some mixing tools.
Or at least a bridge into Logic Pro.
Yeah, some way to
Yeah.
easily. Yeah.
Like Dylan, you have that whole thing where it's like, why are there so many effects in motion that are not present in
Mhm.
Final
Yeah.
Cut? And the same is true with Logic. They have the remove silence feature in Logic Pro, but they don't use it, so you can't have it in Final Cut. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Makes
that's
sense.
odd.
I mean, a minor thing is I've never understood the naming, the project event, but I mean, after a while, you just kind of get over that. As much as I love the plugins, I do wish that there were some of the ones that seem to be more basic in these bundles that were just automatically in there. Some of the, even not necessarily the transitions because they're fine, but more of the animated lower thirds and things like that. That it's like just a few more of those would be fantastic. But there's not a lot I don't like about it. I mean, Matthew's right. I mean, it will crash occasionally. I don't like it then. But it happens. I mean, it's a computer, but I don't know. I don't have a lot there.
Let's just blame it on third-party plugins. That's what causes it.
True.
It's not
true.
Apple. Audio plugins in particular can really make it struggle. So for me, I'm going to throw one out there to all of my editors who edit music videos or edit things like specifically to music. So you make a compound clip, but you need to go inside the compound clip and see and rearrange stuff. But then your music's gone because it's out on your main timeline. So you have no way to re-edit the inside of your compound clip to make sure you're still doing what you need to do to the music. And when I was doing concert video content for all the live touring shows I did, this drove me nuts because I'd always have to copy. I'd have some pretty elaborate compound clips that I always have to paste in the music and make sure it was in the right spot. I wish that Final Cut would figure out some way of opening a compound clip in the timeline without having to go into a separate timeline. And I have to imagine that's incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah.
But for all of us that edit music videos and edit stuff specifically to a music track, that would be a huge upgrade to Final Cut.
Almost like a pop-up that would come up, right?
Yeah,
You double click and then it's just a screen.
Yeah, and you could edit it, but you can still, you could choose to still listen to, or there's a checkbox inside the compound clip where you could listen to the source audio from the main timeline, something where but you still need to see it. That's the other hard part. A lot of times I edit to the waveform, so I need to see, the beat on the waveform. And anyway, anything they can do for that would be really awesome.
Okay, so I had to cut out for a minute there. I'm not sure if I missed it, but did anybody bring up keyframes yet?
No, I was literally
it's third on my list. It's third on my list.
Why can't
I
Final
have
Cut
a
Pro
list
just take
of
add
requests
motion
in
and
Final
integrate it into Final Cut Pro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to get add motion then, huh?
Yeah,
Do it.
you
It's
don't
very
have
It's-
useful.
dude, it's so
I
good.
don't have it yet.
Free motion of
Best
VFX
money you'll
plugin
ever
called
spend.
Camrig, which does.
Yeah.
Oh, I
That
do
one's
have
good too.
M-Cam.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yep.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. I guess the reason I would want smoother keyframes is especially for speed ramping, like you talked about, Jay, I would love to have something that I could adjust to be nice and smooth because I'm sorry, speed ramping, you can use the speed retimers or the, what are
The
they
little
called? Is it the
transition?
the gray bars?
Yeah. The little
But
speed
it's
transition.
just, it's just not as, it's not as smooth as I've seen in Adobe Premiere.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, well, one of the biggest things I hate about Final Cut, to be honest, is trying to manipulate like log type footage. I really want to get into using log footage because I shoot raw photography. That has been my workflow for a long time, but I don't do that with video. It's just the grading process. It should just be easier, and the problem is that I find is when I go from outside to inside, even if the white balance is configured correctly, still trying to make it marry up and make the footage seamlessly integrate. I don't know how to do that, and I've been trying to get better at it and things like that. But if they just had they make plugins, like have sliders, like Adobe Lightroom, for example. If there was just sliders for clarity, hue, it would be so easy for me to finesse that footage, the color. It would just be effortless almost if it had that type of interface. And I've tried all the different interfaces. I've tried the wheels. I mean, I've watched so many tutorials, and I just can't effectively do it without it costing me an insane amount of time. It's just not worth it. At the end of the day, I'm like, get the white balance right and just do that, and you're good. So I wish Final Cut could make a beginner palette or something.
Have you used Color Finale?
No,
because they actually have a function where it's one click and it says assume log, and then it just brings the contrast in, and it's one button, and it gets you to a good starting point.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter which camera you're using. It's just a great, simple way to use it. That's why it's my preferred color grading plugin than any of the other plugins that are out there. I have my own beefs with them. I'm not a fan of Lightroom and the other plugins. They feel like using Lightroom where it's missing the functionality, the nuanced detailing that I can get by using the tools that I use. But yeah, I'm gonna make a whole video about the two plugins and why I prefer one over the other. But yeah, definitely.
Jay, what kind of camera do you shoot on?
I shoot on Sony stuff, right? I usually use the A7C for most of my video footage these days, and the A6400 is like my B camera, and then the GoPro for action stuff.
Do you have the conversion LUTs, the Sony conversion LUTs, like the log to Rec 709 LUTs that you can put on your footage? Because I mean, you could manually grade the log from scratch, but these are free. I think you can download from the Sony website, and then you would just put custom LUT on there, put that on, and that's like now you're at a Rec 709 color space, and then you can add your stylized look. But
that's where I need to go in that direction.
Yeah. I'll also spam you with some of my color grading tutorials. I'll make you watch them.
I've already watched a couple. Yeah.
And by his LUTs, yep.
That was it. That's the only thing we hate about Final Cut.
I've got one more. If you guys want to know one more,
we got
absolutely.
It doesn't make me crazy like a ton, but I loved in Final Cut 7 and the few times I've touched on Premiere, I really like that you could completely customize your layout. You could put windows where you wanted them. They weren't locked together. We can resize them in Final Cut and put them on different monitors and all that. But I really miss with Final Cut 7 really being able to take those panes and make them exactly how I want them. That's one thing that I wish Final Cut.
That's one thing that I love about Avid. You can have floating windows.
Yes.
So you can have floating bins. You can have floating windows. It was one of my favorite features. And I was like, surely they'll add this. Okay, Premiere will maybe add this, but you can't. I don't think you can. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone in the chat. And there is a question here that I do want to address. I don't know if you guys can see it. It says, do you think people buy Final Cut because they use a Mac, or they buy a Mac because they want to use Final Cut? I think people use Final Cut because they are on a Mac, and it's an option where if you're an editor and you're working in a professional setting and you want to use Final Cut, I think that's a rare case. But yeah, I think most people use Final Cut because it's an option. They try it out and then they get hooked to iMovie, and then the transition to Final Cut becomes much easier.
Yep.
I feel like it's just an Apple product. When you switch over to an Apple product, it's just the user interface is so much better in every way, in my opinion, than like any other devices that I've used. And like when you start using, photos on your phone, for example, and then on the iPad, everything just works. Like, and it's so easy to use. And like, so when you just move over to Final Cut, it's just, that ease of use. It seems like it's made for the Mac. Like, it just works like all the other programs do, and Premiere does not do that. And if you're somebody like me that doesn't have a background in any of that stuff, it's just way better off investing your time in Final Cut and learning that, especially if you're a Mac user. It's just a no-brainer, I think.
So we touched on the audio, we touched on keyframes, we touched on what else did we touch on?
Compound clips, the layout.
Yep.
Oh, the lack of collaboration features.
Collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, I think because Final Cut is designed as a laptop, like it's designed for a laptop mainly, and then it can expand out. So it is designed for a run and gun scenario, like documentary style, also like news gathering. But yeah, what's another thing? I had it, but there are a few things. Audio is definitely the one that came to mind for me. Like, it's not just audio editing on its own, it's how you need to make a compound clip to be able to add any kind of EQ to entire videos, or you need to export it to a third-party app, do your mixing there, and then bring it back in. Like, I wish there was a way for Apple to add being able to drop audio effects right onto audio lanes. You know how you can
the rolls.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
If you're just able to drop an audio effect onto that, and that becomes the audio bus essentially, that would solve all those problems where you don't need to compound clip. You don't need to do that. I don't like doing that, because then when I'm watching the edit with the audio and then like, oh, I need to change something, then I need to jump back into the compound clip to make that edit, but then I can't listen to it with the new audio, and it's just like
exactly.
So
my buddy Nick made like a Final Cut Pro upgrade concept piece, like with 3D animation. It's incredible. It's like his one YouTube video that I think he's made, but it's amazing. I'll put a link somewhere. Maybe I'll drop it in chat and send it to you guys privately. But he completely reimagines Final Cut in the audio mixing, and it's like a promo piece that Apple made directly, but he flies you through faders for rolls. Everything that you just talked about, Raphael, is what he wishes they would do to Final Cut. And it got a lot of kind of polarizing feedback in the comments. But I think if you look at what he made, it's kind of exactly what you're talking about. See if I can pull it up.
Ooh, round tripping. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
Round tripping from motion. I've never been able to get into motion. I think that's like, I'm just so set in my
Dylan, get him, Dylan.
in After Effects, I can create an animation so quickly that like I don't want to relearn another application just to do something. Like, I've been using After Effects since like 2000, so it's just like I
don't blame you if you know After Effects.
You know, comparing motion with After Effects, it's because I use both. Once I took the time to learn motion, it's just like Final Cut to Premiere. It's so simplified, but so easy to understand. But it does there's the learning curve, just like with any software. But it's that same kind of like, I don't know, simplification difference. It's really cool. I love it. And it's great for making plugins.
Where do you think it lacks compared to After Effects? Because I wanted to learn After Effects, but because of you, now I'm slowly trying to start to learn motion. But where's the comparison there?
After Effects definitely has stuff like they have their 3D trackers that are built in. They have a lot more finite controls over effects. So when you're doing visual effects, After Effects makes way more sense. But if you're doing like graphic design or something like that, I think motion makes way more sense. It's just so simple and easy to use, and a lot more automated processes that save you a ton of time. But you can do effects in motion. They're just not quite to the same level as After Effects, especially with like the tracking in After Effects is just top notch with Mocha and stuff. But if they had better tracking and whatnot, it might be feasible.
Now here, I don't know if you guys know, but Apple bought a application called Smoke years ago, which then the developers went on to make Nuke. So if you guys are familiar with that application, so when Apple bought Smoke, everyone went like, "Yes, this is going to be fantastic! It's gonna be that After Effects rival because it's going to be about compositing and doing all that kind of stuff." And then it just went away. Nothing came of it. And I don't know if motion is what came out of it, but like when motion came out, people are like, what happened to that very powerful compositing application that you guys just bought? Shake, that's right. Sorry. Shake is the application. But yeah.
Right, mate.
Smoke, Flame, Inferno. Oh,
Shake comes with fries.
Something's on fire.
Yeah, thanks guys for for some reason I thought it was Smoke because I learned Smoke, and that's right, Inferno. Flame. I was doing all that kind of stuff as a compositor, but anyways.
Yeah, Roto Brush would be nice. Do they have that in motion?
No, but I'm working on a concept. Wow. I'm doing testing. I don't know if it's gonna work, but stick around.
Okay.
You need beta testers.
Yeah,
that's right. Send it over. Very cool.
All right, let's move on to actually, where is it?
Actually,
give me a second. Let me just let's do another color finale giveaway. How about
nice? Let's
do it.
go.
So
Jay
this time we're going to go 1 to 1,000. So closest number to
Big numbers.
Wow.
That's fun.
Finale
This is gonna be
2,
tough for us to figure out where that number lies.
Just glad you didn't do the
do
alphabet.
math,
I
aren't
don't
you?
know.
do some math
I
here.
don't do math. Nobody said math would be involved.
Finale, Time Bolt, and Motion VFX were kind enough to offer up these plugins and licenses for you guys. But yeah, let's do that random number because we got a few more to give away, and I want to make sure that everybody gets something today.
1 through 1,000.
1 through 1,000. Yeah, we've got to make it a little bit tougher.
So anybody guessing over 1,000, do
Yeah, that's a silly choice.
there's a few.
Womp womp womp.
Well,
So I
just
got the
assume
number.
that was a typo.
All right, he's got the number. Wait till chat slows. There you go. Yeah, a couple people that updated their number.
So between 1 and 1,000. For a copy of Color Finale, the most complete color grading tool set for Final Cut Pro. Fight me on it.
Absolutely.
You know, I do want to do a comparison with Cinema Grade. I may reach out to them and see if I may do a Color Finale versus Cinema Grade. Yeah, screw it. Only Color Finale.
I heard that one's good.
All right.
Yeah.
I have both, but Color Finale, hands down, is my favorite. Okay, so the winner is 863. I saw
they got it.
888.
We got
There's an
850.
850.
850.
Is it 888?
8.
I think
Oh, now
850 is
we've
closer.
Got to do math. Crap.
Yeah,
that's
this is why I'm a video editor, not a math.
Did you say without going over? Yeah.
I'd say
No, closest to.
I'd say 850.
867. No, never mind.
There's another
850 would be the closest.
Yeah,
I
there
think.
would be. It would be Tor Jelani Media, unless I'm.
Let's just go up to make sure no one else had a. There's 888 above. Oh, that's not good. So, who's the winner? Who do we got?
It is
Tor
Oh,
Jelani
God, I
Media.
lost him. Jelani Media.
Very
You
nice.
did it. Congrats.
Congratulations. Your copy
Dun,
of
dun, dun, dun. Come on
Make sure
down.
you find me on Instagram.
You won a car.
And DM me. When you DM me, make sure you let me know it's for color finale.
We applaud you on your use of big numbers. Very
That's
nice.
right. Big number. So
I'm
next
messaging
question.
Raphael right now. I'm toward Jelani.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, lots of people are going to message you and be like, I'm Tor Jelani. No, I'm
No,
Tor Jelani.
I'm Tor Jelani.
We already talked about what we'd love to see in Final Cut, but does anyone have any other things that you'd love to see? Like personally, for me, would be audio effects in the audio lanes. That's what I would want the most above everything else.
So here's what I'd like to see. And if this is already in there, then just ignore me. Okay. Remember, I'm the old guy. They may have snuck it in and I didn't know. I would love to, and I know it'll record your webcam. I would like an input that I could record. Like I'm using the Canon M50 Mark II, going through an ATEM Mini. I would love the ability to be able to bring that camera into Final Cut and record, not my webcam, and I can my mic, because I think that would, oh my word, that would just completely change. You know, if all of a sudden I'm doing something and I want to add a video and I don't want to have to pop out or something like that. So to be able to do that, and I haven't found a way to do it, a hack or anything like that. I can do the webcam only if the webcam's plugged in a certain way. You know, again, is it a big thing? Yeah, probably not. I mean, I do screen records of so many other different programs, but I just think that would be nice. It'd be something that'd be kind of cool.
Do you mean where you record yourself and then as it's recording, the clip is basically being played out on the timeline?
Yeah,
Is
it
that
could
kind
be.
of
Yeah,
what you're saying?
yeah,
Kinda like
because
recording a voiceover, but for video.
Yeah, like a voiceover.
yeah,
right?
yeah, I've done that many times on voiceover.
Timebolt
where I'll
does that.
just- Really?
And there's another copy of Timebolt
pretty
coming
cool.
later. So
Okay,
Yeah,
then
they
I'm
have
popping out. I'm gonna
Yeah,
get
get your number in there.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna go by Tor Jenna too.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean. Because, you know, I'll do that voiceover wise. You know, I'll just pop the mic and just roll the video clip and drop it in and stuff like that. But yeah, as a video or just a standalone, like, oh, all of a sudden I want to change something up or pop back in or something like that. You know, it would just be, you know, is it absolute must? Probably not, but it'd be cool.
I'd like to see the transitions, a couple things with transitions. I'd like to see the transitions semi-transparent on the timeline, or maybe even to be able to control how transparent they are. Right now, they're a solid gray, so you can't always see what's happening underneath them. I'd also like transitions to have the option to make them asymmetrical. So if you want the A side of the transition to be 12 frames and the other side to be, you know, 25 frames, you can make them asymmetrical.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Also,
Yeah.
you guys probably know how to do this, but I don't. If you could somehow subtract the audio out of the transition, like when I add a transition, a lot of times it goes back in the clips and then brings audio in, and that drives me crazy. I'll put a transition in and then you'll hear like maybe like or something will get added.
Yeah.
And then I end up just dropping the transition. Like I can't figure out a way to fix that.
So click on the clip and Control S. Yeah, Dylan.
Really?
Yep.
It's that
Control
simple?
S, it'll bring it
Yeah.
down, but it's still connected. And then you drag it out, just cut it, add a little fade or cut it. And then you can press Control S again and it sucks right back up into the clip.
Or it
Just
gets
like
a
it
bit
makes that noise too.
Yeah, and it makes that sound too. It's really cool.
Yeah.
or else that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I got to see that. I haven't seen a tutorial on that. It seems so basic. It's like one of those basic skills I never learned, you know?
Making a tutorial right now.
Make sure you click underneath underneath the audio line on the actual audio. You can double click on it. It'll open up the audio, and then you can just drag the audio separately.
You can
okay.
you
I
can also
gotcha, I
right
gotcha.
click. You can right click on your clip and choose expand audio, I think is what it is, and it'll pop the audio down. So you have 3 ways you can do it.
But
Very
if it
cool.
doesn't go when you're done,
Yeah.
it hasn't taken.
You haven't done it right.
Didn't work.
Or you might want to write that down. For you.
Must go.
You know, somebody out there is going to be going, I didn't do it. I tried it 3 times. It didn't work.
Where's the sound?
I don't know.
I'll throw one more out there just to keep things going. I would love to see a little bit more of a color palette for rolls. Right now, Apple has sort of like their earthen colors that are restricted to rolls, and I get it. They want visual, a through line with their visual kind of look and UI and all that stuff. But maybe some enhanced color customization would be nice. And I'd also like when you have a clip that has audio with a roll and video with a roll, it defaults to coloring that clip to what the audio roll's color is. And I would like to be able to control that so I can make sure my clips are colored the way I want them, not the way they are telling me to color my clips.
Yeah, great
And
point.
I think so. They added the object tracker, and that's a big win. Go Apple, you did it.
Yeah.
But it definitely needs help. I would
Definitely
love
needs help. Yes.
a lot more finesse, a lot more controls, and I would love just having a much more locked on tracker. The current object tracker feels pretty floaty, and it's awesome. I'm so glad it's there. Don't take it away, but I'd love some more controls over the tracking, and I think that could be huge.
Yeah. It'd be nice to use a draw mask and have that be trackable with the object tracker. That would also be huge. I know lots of people have been asking for that in the comments.
Apple Motion.
Well, not in this case. Yeah, that's true. All in Apple Motion.
That's it.
Is there an unsharpened tool in Final Cut? Have I just not found it?
There is now. Dylan.
Write it
Don't
down.
you go my
just
unsharp
made one.
mask video.
And 80 other effects apparently, but that's a whole
Yeah.
nother conversation.
Oh yeah. We're breaking it wide open. I'm gonna get canceled by some
Yeah.
big plugin.
Reach out to Phil and he'll tell you all about it. It's
One thing I'd like to see in Final Cut Pro, and it might be in there already, but custom audio folders, but for video clips. So you can say you have a folder and you put all your icons and all your stuff in there. I wish there's a way to make it like automatically go into Final Cut Pro as soon as you add some to it. Just kind of like sound effects in a custom audio folder.
Oh, sure.
There is.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
There is. Both Dylan
audio
and I have
library?
done that. A tutorial on. You're talking about putting sound effects into your sound effect library, right?
Yeah. What I'm talking
Video.
about is having a video folder equivalent to that.
Oh.
Oh, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be huge.
Preset
Like a
graphics.
stock,
preset.
like a stock
Yeah.
footage section almost.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as soon as
but
you
it could be
add that
graphics.
folder, it's in
Yeah.
your it's in your library.
Yeah, so you're not
Yeah.
always. I have to include mine in my Final Cut library template. So I like made a timeline with all the stuff I use all the time, and so every time I start a new project, I have to go then to that project. But that would be much better, Serge, if it was
That'd
just
be huge. Yeah.
if it was just like a little built-in thing like that. That'd be great.
yeah, because we all have like, especially for our YouTube channels, we all have
Oh, yeah.
those stock things that we just copy and paste from a previous project. But if it was
Yep.
just there, yeah, that'd be good. That's like that's a I didn't even think of that. Like, but yeah,
Well,
I guess
yeah.
it'll populate the watch folder. That's a
I'll tell you another
Speaking of
thing.
that,
Another
I was
thing
just gonna
too
say,
is, Jason, it's my time right now, buddy. Lock it up. This is my show.
Somebody
I'm
make a
quick,
note of
I'm
that.
quick.
127 is when the physical fight broke.
This will be quick. I wish, because you guys do a lot. We do a lot of tech stuff, and sometimes we put little graphics and PNGs with an alpha channel and stuff on our videos. I would love it if there was a way to make the viewer kind of like go into like graphic design mode, and you could have like pixel rulers and snapping more easy to turn on and off without just a keyboard modifier. I know you can do custom overlays and all that stuff, but I just wish there was a few more tools for Apple to be thinking that a lot of us are essentially doing graphic layouts or graphic design layouts. And you don't have to go all in like Illustrator or, Affinity Designer, but just a few more tools for acknowledging how we need to be able to move things around in the viewer to space out graphics and other things with transparency and stuff like that.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
That's a
alignment tools
stupid
aren't
idea.
good, yeah.
No.
Jason, you may go.
I'd love to see. I actually asked you about this the other day, Matthew. Just to be very simplistic, I'd like there to be like a preset option. Again, similar to Lightroom, just workflow wise, that would be so nice for somebody like me. If I could just drag a preset down right onto my clip, for like when I'm in the studio, for example. Like right now, I know exactly what the audio needs to be, the colors, the vignette I add, all the things I like to do, but I have to do it in like 5 steps or 3 steps or 4 steps. I'd just like to be able to go boom and it'd be done. You know, it's such a simple thing. I don't understand why it doesn't have
So
that.
You can.
Yeah, you
Save
can save.
effects.
Save custom
Presets.
effects.
Can
That's
save
not what you
effects.
told me the other day.
Preset.
Are you talking about you want Lightroom controls?
No. Like, you know how you can save presets, like for audio?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
do it
that's
for
fine.
video effects as well.
You can do it
Yeah,
for-
but I just
you can
want
do it.
one for everything. Audio's
Yeah,
fixed,
right.
video's fixed.
Yes,
One.
you can't. Yep, you can't.
Yeah.
You
Can't
can't do
combine them.
an audio and video effect.
Yeah,
you
it's
can
like
have
it's
two.
like. Yeah, so I guess it's 2 steps instead of 1. I'm being picky here, obviously, but that would help.
That's what we're
You know,
gonna
I
it's
want
like,
no steps.
Just
Yeah,
the
it's like
button edit.
if you could import,
That's
and
called
just auto
outsourcing.
apply. You know, just auto apply on import. That'd be nice too, just to speed up workflows for somebody
Yeah.
like me that, you know, I don't know, just be more, you know, simple users, I guess.
I
Well,
wish
here's
Apple
a
too would
question
fix
for
that.
the group.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Raphael.
Here's a question for the group. If and when you do use LUTs, do you do it on the clip level, like from the browser, so it goes onto the entire clip, or do you do adjustment layers or plugins, or how do you guys do it? I'm just
I do it
curious.
on the clip. I do it for some reason. I could never get into because each clip usually needs a slightly different grade. Not always, but sometimes. I mean, I could break up that adjustment layer, but for me, I just have found in my workflow that I just do each individual clip and then do Command C, Command Shift V to every other ones that I need, and then make adjustments if I need to.
Yep.
Also,
Yeah,
Color
typically-
Finale has a great feature that allows you to like quickly make an adjustment to all of them just by adjusting one. And that also could be something you would want to look into, Jay, because they have a lot of like a vibrance type, contrast, very simple. And then you can jump into more advanced stuff in the layers panel.
Yeah, whoever gets me their affiliate link first, I think I'm going to buy that.
It'll
I'm a big
because
fan of
that-
the adjustment layer. I mean, I'll use that first and then tweak if it's not quite the way I like it. But then again, a lot of times I just kind of go with the way it is. You know, if I've set it where it's decent in camera and it's okay, you know, or I really want to jack it up. If I'm wanting to look for something different between shots, then I'll go to the shot level. But otherwise, I'm just lazy. I drop the adjustment layer on and drop it on there. I'm like, yeah, it looks good. And then I export it.
This is a good
And I
reason
go
if you
smoke.
if you're doing a big A-roll edit, even if it's just one angle to make your A-roll into a multicam, because as you can like do kind of a base grade while you're editing. And if you ever need to go back in and make adjustments, it then affects, you know, your whole edit after you've cut up your A-roll. Of course, your B-roll will have to be handled differently, but I make a multicam and I have my wide angle, and then I make a kind of a fake close-up of the same angle. And so whenever I make color adjustments later on in the edit from whatever my base color grade was, I can do it inside the multicam. And when I pop back out, that's, you know, been universally applied. So you're not copying and pasting it. That also works if you use a compound clip and even a synchronized clip as well, depending on what your workflow is or what your inputs are, your audio and your video inputs.
Yeah, that's a great point. Nothing is worse than like cutting up audio and then be like, no, I needed to add this.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think Serge did a tutorial on this, maybe not recently, but the compound clip, you have your audio, make adjustments, put into a compound and then chop there. It just is the way to go.
Yep.
I don't use LUTs anymore. I've given up on them. I just find that like everything
hear
needs
ya.
adjustments anyways. So like just fix it yourself. That's kind of my approach lately. I have like for this shot here, I usually have a preset in Final Cut where I just drag it on because this is always the same. So just put it on. But everything else I'm shooting is generally outside and very variable. So I have to like go in and grade it by hand anyways. So I just don't use LUTs anymore. So I just use the color wheels, and I'm pretty simple with grading, but I get it close enough for what I'm looking for. So that's how I do it. It's going clip by clip.
Nice. That's a good
let's do
question,
another
Raphael.
giveaway.
Yeah. Which
Let's
logs
do
do you
another
guys use,
giveaway.
by the way?
I'm sorry.
I was just curious which logs you guys guys use for your log style. Like, there's so many different options. Which one do you use?
Well,
'Cause some are easier to create
the right
than
one.
others. Of course. Yeah.
The best one.
Are you talking about what log LUT?
No, like on the camera itself.
Or like S-Log3? Oh, I use S-Log3. And I use that almost always. I'm always shooting in S-Log. Maybe right now is S-Cinetone. Sometimes if I need like something real quick, like maybe B-roll, then I'll do S-Cinetone, but almost always is log.
Well, this is log, and I have a LUT applied. My LUT applied to the look. This is the one that I like using. Right now, I'm new to Sony, so hopefully they welcome me gently because I've been a Canon fanboy for way too long. But yeah, I love using LUTs. The reason I like using LUTs overall, well, not LUTs, but like shooting log, is the more correct term, is I don't like other people making creative decisions for me. And as soon as you buy, like you have the conversion LUT and then you have the LUTs that other people make. And if you want to just recreate someone else's LUT or look, then that's fine. But every time I've used them, it's never looked right, or I didn't like the look. It looked great on their LUTs. It's almost like not Illustrator, but Lightroom presets or LUTs that you buy for that, where they look fantastic in online or for the photos that those people took. But as soon as I put them on my photos, I'm like, it just doesn't work. It doesn't have the same feeling that I'm going for. So then you have to correct it anyways. So why put on a creative LUT when you're just gonna have to correct it anyways? A conversion LUT is different than a creative LUT. So even then, I like just starting from scratch and not putting in any LUTs. And I asked a couple pro colorists, do you guys use conversion LUTs? And they're like, almost never. They'll just correct it themselves because they know where it needs to be, where it needs to sit and feel, and then they add creative LUTs above and beyond that. They never just stick with the conversion LUT. And that way they have the full control over it instead of someone else making that creative decision. And usually the conversion LUT is a creative decision done by the tech guys at these, like at Sony, at Canon. So they're making the creative decision based on what they feel would be ideal to their eyes. So that's kind of why I avoid using LUTs unless I create them myself and I create them almost exclusively for every project that I work on moving forward. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Talking about cameras.
Color space transforms.
That's right. So I want to do another giveaway with Motion VFX. They are offering a plugin, and the plugin is, where is it? And they are offering, this is the only giveaway we're doing with Motion VFX. Their new plugin. Brand ambassador with us.
The biggest logo I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I gotta give you one of those.
It's the size of your head.
Guys, you can go check it out at motionvfx.com. It's a really great plugin. It's a brand new one, so I'm pretty sure that anyone that is using Motion VFX probably hasn't picked it up yet. But yeah, we're gonna do 1 to 1,000 again. Let's go. Put in your bids.
Your
Let's
bids?
see. That's right. How much do you want?
Yeah, this is this title pack is very cool because it's modeled after Apple titles. And so it's a lot of like fun animations. Some are like minimal, some are extreme, but you can customize them too. And for me, simplicity is so important with titles. If they're too weird, then they just stick out. But these fit the bill.
You like this one?
Yeah, they're nice and subtle.
I like M-Teto.
I haven't seen this one,
You can't trust Dylan. He's a
brand.
I mean,
he works for them.
Well, I mean, he does have a giant logo, evidently, in his studio.
All right, so get your numbers in 1 to 1,000 for a free copy of Motion VFX's M title Kinetic 2. Geez, that's a long title. All right, so is everyone in? The number is 244.
242. Oh, we got a
I got
259.
226. Got a 226.
35.
235.
235. Where?
Yeah,
Ryan
235 is.
Walters.
Oh my God, Ryan again. He won something earlier, didn't he?
Did he?
Running
Wait,
the
hold on.
tables.
Yes.
Can't win twice. No, it can't win
You
twice.
can't
I've
win
gotta get
twice.
someone else. No,
Wow,
The
yeah, he did.
bouncers want to talk to you
Ryan.
out back. What was the number?
244.
244.
226.
259.
Ryan, won a big one. Good guess. It's like you're
Yeah, there's a
looking at my
259.
phone, Ryan.
Yeah.
30. Yeah. 259.
259.
And camera
closer?
junkie, 18 away.
And
Yeah, 226.
226.
is it Luis, Mr. Camera Junkie, or is it someone help me out here?
Mr. Camera Junkie has 226.
And
And-
Vajaxa has 259.
That's
Yeah,
50
camera
in
junkies
a way
18.
there. And I think 259.
Yeah.
259 it is. Yes, it is.
All right.
And who is that?
Luis.
Oh, it's
Ryan saying, "Can I trade out the time bolt?" Dude, this isn't the trading post. We're talking about Final Cut.
it's a white elephant. A white elephant.
White elephant.
I put it back in.
Symbol is
Now
fantastic.
somebody else has to
You're
choose.
going to use it. You're going to use it probably as much as you'd use this plugin too.
Yeah, time bolts. That's
I'm
funny.
pretty jealous of Time Bolt, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get on that. 'Cause I-
Bolt.
Where is it?
I use another one that does something similar, but it does sound like Time Bolt does more. So
Yeah,
Yep.
we're not going to be talking about competitors today. But
I didn't.
That's a whole
I didn't say it.
story. I know.
keep
I
me
know.
on the stream, man.
Vajaxa.
Vajaxa.
So make sure you find me on Instagram and DM me for your copy of Entitled Kinetic.
And don't forget to follow.
Yes, of
Hey.
course.
And like,
all of his
subscribe.
posts.
Ring the bell.
So let's move on to the next question, which I think is going to be the big question that people will be interested in to hear your opinion on. And we're going to do then another giveaway for Color Finale and another for Time Bolt after this question. So make sure you guys get your numbers. It's going to be between 1 and 10 billion.
What?
Wow, I didn't know there were
Yeah,
that
we're
many
going to do the
numbers.
two giveaways afterwards. Yeah. Hold on. Let me get rid of this.
Graphic. Yay, they're back.
This is what I look like if you're wondering. So
Oh, I wish I
That
could
should be
bring
the
up
next. That should be the next
Oh, that's funny.
thumbnail. The next time we do this, just cover half our pictures with you
Yeah.
know.
I should have done it.
Windows Movie Maker.
that's what I was gonna say was Windows Movie Maker, man.
VHS to VHS, right?
Yeah.
I would take two VCRs
Yes.
and I would film everything in VHS.
Absolutely.
Go back to linear
If Final
editing.
Cut never existed, what would you use instead? Now, it doesn't have to be Mac based, it can be anything. But yeah, let me know. Final Cut doesn't exist, not even Final Cut 7. So Final Cut is just
Ooh.
what do you use?
I would.
Yep, go ahead.
I would
Dylan.
hands down use DaVinci Resolve without
Yep.
a doubt. I mean,
Ditto.
I have so many people, friends that use Adobe Premiere, and they're always like, it's constantly crashing on me. It's so slow. But DaVinci Resolve just it is solid, and it just seems like it's the up and coming editor. It's
Yep.
pretty solid all around.
I would probably just start podcasting. Easier.
Cut the video out of my
Not
life.
worry about it.
I'd probably go to a college campus and just start talking whatever I feel like in the quad. Just go that
Pictures.
route.
This is a compound clip.
Yeah.
Double click this.
There used to
Dylan
be
would just
that-
carry around his big logo with him everywhere.
It's like you'll be in the movie yesterday where only you know about Final Cut, like magnetic timeline. Magnetic timeline. What are you little crazy guys?
I did DaVinci Resolve as well. I've spent a lot of time in that app just doing color turnover, so getting things in and out of there. And I've actually had to have DaVinci Resolve come to the rescue a couple times when Final Cut couldn't do something that DaVinci could. Just a quick example. I was putting out a film for showing on Amazon Prime. It was a documentary that I edited, and Final Cut exports in 2398. Now, sometimes we call it 2398, even though it's really 23976. Well, Apple's like, forget 976. It's just 98. Well, Amazon needs 976. And so they kept returning the video I was uploading with an error of 0.004 frames. And I'm like, there's no way between compressor and Final Cut to actually do 23976. So I had to put my project into Resolve and have Resolve exported out at 23976.
Resolve resolved it.
And Amazon,
Resolved it.
Oh, Dylan.
Now,
That's a
do you
good
take
one.
your whole project into Resolve or just the edited final?
So I had a deadline, so I just ProRes HQ'd it and said that's going to be it, and brought it in. I didn't XML it in there because that was going to be way too problematic. So Resolve came to rescue there, and I'm really curious about Resolve's cut page. I haven't really used it hands-on. I know between Resolve with the cut page, and that's like kind of like a intermediary
Like
page.
a fine tune, right?
I think it's actually a little bit trying to be a more magnetic timeliney, where you have more of a simplified view of your timeline, and you can move stuff around with fewer restrictions than the main edit window in Resolve. And then I know Premiere came out with their Rush application, but for me, the big barrier for me with Adobe is reliability and paywall. I'm not going to subscribe to the Premiere Pro thing in order to get it. I'd rather just either get the free Resolve version, or if I needed to upgrade to the Studio version, either do that or buy a piece of Resolve equipment, and then you get Resolve Studio for free.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
yeah, I
cool.
can't. Hey, Kevin, did you get Resolve Studio with your A10 Mini? I don't know that I got it with my A10 Mini Pro.
I did
But
not
know
know.
Yeah,
No, if you buy like a camera or something,
Yeah.
you get it.
Yeah.
right.
You get it
So
with the video assist monitors, which are relatively cheap and they're pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, free copy comes with that. That's how I got my copy of it.
And that's a cool way to be able to get that software is, a lot of, sometimes people have a barrier, buying the software. Well, if you can get another product that you can use in your workflow and that also gets you the software, that's a nice point of entry to that ecosystem, I think, too.
So we got 2 for 2 for DaVinci.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump
Raphael,
on
we
the
can't see
DaVinci
you.
bandwagon too.
Yeah, I know I'm restarting my camera app.
Mm.
That's a whole nother thing. I'm still here.
So Final Cut Pro doesn't exist. Does
always
iMovie exist?
Ooh.
No. Apple products are gone.
Then
Dang.
DaVinci Resolve.
Oh, really? I was going to say iMovie, but I was going to use iMovie until I learned how to use Resolve, because I'm not paying for Adobe. That's crazy. It's like $50 a month. What is it? 50 or 40 a month for that?
It's like
Yeah, and it's
I think
always
close to
crashing.
70 now.
So
Is there-
Raphael, I'm
Yeah.
concerned. Do I have my iPhone anymore? I mean, you kind of messed me up.
Now
How
it's
far are
there.
we going?
My life is ruined.
iPhone hardware is still around.
Okay.
Is
I
there,
definitely
um,
flip phone.
Is
I
there a
definitely go back
desktop
to using
version
Resolve, so I agree with you guys.
Yeah. Is there a desktop version of LumaFusion?
That's what I was thinking, if because you guys all took DaVinci Resolve,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
probably would use that, but if I had to choose another one,
Yeah.
I would really be tempted by LumaFusion.
Yep.
That
That's a
is a good
solid piece of
program.
software, but that's Final
Is
Cut
that-
does exist, thank goodness.
Right. Is LumaFusion only like iPad OS, or is it?
I think
also
so.
desktop? Okay.
I've
could
been
be
using it on
wrong.
my phone and iPad, but I
Okay.
don't know about the other.
Oh,
Because,
there's
yeah,
an
I'd be
extended
curious.
question. Would you use Final Cut on an iPad?
Yes.
Yes.
I would try it.
I would try it.
I
I,
wouldn't.
I don't think I would like it though. I don't use a lot of my iPad for stuff because I'm so much faster with my computer because I can type really fast, and I feel like the iPad would slow me down with something like Final Cut. I mean, I don't know, maybe like if I was stringing out clips in a timeline and could use like the pencil or something, maybe, I don't know.
I would
not
do
for
it.
long-term projects or big
Oh, yeah.
projects. Yeah.
So are we pretty much settled on DaVinci would be our go-to? Nobody would choose Premiere as their editor of choice.
No
And
Sony
if I was-
Vegas,
Windows Movie
no
Maker.
Avid.
If I was going to make a
No.
push for
I
TV
thought
and film
there-
editing, I'd go Avid, but
Yeah.
Like even then, it's that's interesting. How about anyone in the chat? Who would use, if you're using Final Cut as your main editor, who would use Premiere over DaVinci if Final Cut did not exist? Because
I think the subscription model is a killer there.
It
Okay,
is.
but Brandon-
Nobody
Yeah.
wants to pay.
Well, I know when I was
$1
switching to Final Cut, I tried Premiere. I downloaded the trial and did a project or two, and I just hated it. Like it was clunky and slow to me, and yeah, it was like crashing. And I was like, what? I don't understand why people use this. Like I'll try it, I'll work through a project or two, but I mean that was just my experience. Like having no bias, like just to try it. Like you can download it and try it. Like a lot of these have trial software. You can try it yourself. But yeah.
I think
my
that's kind of an
experience.
interesting thing about your experience, Josh, having switched from one LE to another, and Raphael, you as well. It's been a long time since I've used anything other than Final Cut, but I think there's a lot of maybe not fear, but apprehension or tentativeness about switching an application, even though the signs might be there that it's better and faster, because it's hard to go from being fast and efficient with one NLE to, especially if you transition to Final Cut, to completely unlearn what the Yoda moment here, the unlearn what you have learned with track-based editing and go into something like the magnetic timeline. So I think it's hard for people that are really used to creating a lot to go into that state of not knowing what they're doing.
The only people that I've really come across that say Premiere is the way to go are the ones that they're just used to it. And when they open up Final Cut or DaVinci for the first time, they're like, oh, this is confusing. No, I can't use this.
Yeah.
Or it's like, I know that there are people that genuinely love Premiere because of the way it's set up and the way their mind works with it. And there is an argument to be made to use the thing that is the very best for your speed workflow. If Premiere is the thing that gets you editing faster and gets you in that groove and you just know how to move stuff because of muscle memory, fantastic. That's the thing you should be using.
Yep.
But if you want to work faster, as fast as your thoughts can go, and that's what we all want. We want a machine and an application to work as fast as we can think. Then Final Cut is such a great tool. But if it didn't exist, I would also go with DaVinci. And I actually feel that in the long run, I will switch over to DaVinci as my primary editor. I'm the guy that made
Get out of here.
I'm the guy that made the video called Premiere Pro is dead. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
I make the whole argument that DaVinci being free, what can Premiere Pro offer that DaVinci does not have for free? And someone will say plugins. Fantastic. Plugins are coming. It's free.
A lot of people love Lumetri, the Lumetri color panel. That's a big one that keeps them in there.
I think it's terrible. I think Lumetri is
I've never
actually
used it. Yeah.
limited, and it's more annoying than anything. But that's me
More
personally. I'm
stabilizer?
not a fan of Lightroom either. The way, like, there's no scopes in Lightroom. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Or Photoshop. Why are there no scopes in Photoshop?
Yeah,
Why can't
great point.
Yeah, let's go. But yeah, like DaVinci has the compositing that After Effects does have. It has 3D capabilities, so you can bring in 3D assets and relight and do all that kind of stuff in there. It has Fairlight, which is a powerhouse of a audio editor. It may not be as great as Pro Tools or something like that, but like it's free. It's literally in there.
Yeah. And Pro Tools ain't free.
No, it ain't.
It ain't.
So And not only have they have two editing pages, one that is more akin to Final Cut, where it's the cut page where you can, it's more simplistic. So it's more for really fast decision making, like news gathering or even documentary style, where you can just get through a whole bunch of stuff really quickly. And then they have the editing page, which is like Premiere Pro, but then the color tools are almost second to none in that type of application.
Yeah.
And I think 10 years from now, all the people that are moving into editing or post-production, the ones that are just learning it, they're going to download DaVinci Resolve, and they're going to be the ones starting up production companies in the next 10 years. And they're going to be hiring people that know DaVinci Resolve, because that's what they're used to, and that's what they want their workflow, and that's how they want their collaborative spaces to be. And that's the exact same thing that happened with Photoshop in the late 90s, where people were getting educational versions of it, but then they started their own design shops and were hiring other people that knew Photoshop, not the whatever the other competitors were. So, and I think Adobe knows this secretly, and that's why they've created Adobe Rush.
Yeah.
They're trying to find a new paradigm within their own ecosystem. A lot of people don't know that Premiere is built on 20-year-old code that literally like piling onto, and it still works, and they've cleaned up, but the reason it's unstable is because it's old code. Like, they haven't moved to the new code, unless I'm wrong. Like, if you guys know any other details, but I'm pretty sure it's just the same code that they've started with 20 years ago that they just improved upon, where Apple kind of went like, no, Final Cut 7, that this is not going to work for where we're going, because they know the hardware based, and then they rethought the entire paradigm shift. If Adobe came out today and said, we're doing, Adobe Cut Pro X, and they made their version with a magnetic timeline and those same features, people would go nuts, because people don't like change. And we saw that with Final Cut 10. We've had 10 years to get used to it, and like the uproar that happened if Adobe did something similar. So I think they're going to go the Adobe Rush way and just start trickling it out there and wait for the next generation of creators to start using that application, and then they're going to make a desktop version that works much better. I think they need to do that to get up to date. So, mini rant over. Thank you for coming to my take.
Well, I'll just tack on the Black Magic thing. One thing that's exciting about what they're doing when it comes to editing and coloring, they have the huge color interface that you can have, the really big expensive one. They have a smaller version. They also have a new piece of hardware for an editing interface with a jog wheel and shortcuts. That's exciting to me as someone who spends a lot of time in the edit bay, not necessarily the color stuff, because I'm terrible at grading and don't want to grade. But when it comes to that hardware interface for the jog wheel and shortcut keys and all that stuff, like, that's interesting to me that they're thinking not only software but hardware as well to come up with an ecosystem that really, has a lot of cohesion and tools to help speed editors up and give them more technical control, as well as artistic control over the stuff that they're doing.
I just want to point out this comment right here. I did reach out to quite a few people to join this. They were either busy or they couldn't make the time. Everyone was interested. They just they weren't able to make it. So this is who you're stuck with today. Next time. But yeah, so a lot of people are saying Resolve, and I have a gut feeling, and let me know your thoughts on this. I have a gut feeling that Blackmagic may actually buy Final Cut from Apple. Ooh. I feel that would make a good pair if they took all the Final Cut stuff and brought it into DaVinci, and if they kind of collaborated but they took it over, the development would happen faster. I think there would be more that feature set that everyone is clamoring for, the pro high-end tools, the color grading, the OMF stuff, the audio, if it merged, that would make a good pairing. And Blackmagic is very similar to Apple, where they're hardware first, so they make most of their money off of the hardware, and then software is complementary, where Adobe is the complete opposite. Everything is relying on software. They don't have hardware, so they need the subscription model. They need that to drive profits and sales as a public company. So what are your thoughts? Like, do you think it would make sense? Do you think they should remain separate?
I think Apple loves a little bit of the vanity that Final Cut and Logic Pro provides with their connection with artists and creatives. You see a lot of that in their marketing materials, especially with Logic Pro. I mean, that last keynote kicked off with a huge piece showing what that young man was doing in the garage with Logic Pro. So I think there's a lot of pride with how they show that their hardware and software are tools for creatives. Mm-hmm. And I don't, in Final Cut, that was like Steve Jobs and, whoever he was working with at the time, developing that. And part of his vision for the future with, video moving into something you could transfer to a computer versus using a tape and using a deck and then capturing it, it democratized that. And I think that's something that they wouldn't separate from the Apple brand.
Has Apple ever sold anything like that? Like, have they ever sold an application?
I don't know.
I think they hate money. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've also heard that.
I also wouldn't see them. Go ahead.
The other question. No, sorry. You finish your thought because I
was just going to say I wouldn't see them putting in the work of even bringing in the iPhone with the cinematic mode that then you can bring into Final Cut if you were just going to turn around and sell it, because then that would actually take a selling point off the iPhones.
Yeah, it's all
that you can do that. I mean, I know you can do it all inside. What I could see them doing at some point, though, as they keep, when the M2 come out and they keep doing that with these higher end, if they want, it goes back to an earlier question, if they want to get more people into the Mac ecosystem, go after the high-end professionals and then give them the entire bundle free. Give them Final Cut, give them Motion, give them Pro Light, give them all that it's just loaded on there. You literally turn it up and go. And you say, yeah, it doesn't save that much, but neither do a lot of free things, when you buy a car and they're going to throw in, the tires and stuff like that. So that's how I would see it. But I don't know. I don't know what would be their end game in selling it off, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to sell. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like integrated. It's like purpose built for Mac. That doesn't make sense though. If they made it, if you got like the highest end MacBook Pro, they should just give it to you. They really should. That makes a lot of sense. And then people would never switch. They'd be more loyal. I feel like
once you buy Final Cut, then like if you're already buying a high-end Mac, you probably already have Final Cut. Like there aren't many.
That's true.
Like the amount of users that are buying a brand new Mac that's full spec'd out high-end, just so they can start using Final Cut. Like it's probably like 10% of the users. Majority of people are upgrading from 2 to 3 year old machines. They already had the software a decade now, right? Like. So they're not making a lot of money off of it, but it's enough to continue development year over year. So that's why they're not drawing a lot of money from it. But that leads into the next question. What if they go subscription model like they're already doing with some of their other Apple One stuff? How would you guys feel about that?
That would
I
suck.
may jump ship. I may switch over to Resolve. Yeah.
I would be frustrated, but I'd still pay for it.
Yeah, I would hate it, but
too.
I gave up my iTunes library. Now I pay for Apple Music, so
I would
be very similar.
I would actually be excited if they did that, because that would hopefully mean that they're putting way more into the development.
Yep. Hopefully,
but if they
unless they're like
continued
Adobe,
the way they do updates right now, it wouldn't be worth it if they did a subscription model, just because we're not getting the improvements that a subscription model would bring. So I'd be on the fence. Although I can't really quit Final Cut Pro because
the channel,
but
the Premiere Pro, bro.
figure out something.
The Da Vinci dude.
Da Vinci dude,
Yeah.
that's good. Da Vinci Dylan.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
hey,
Da Vinci Dylan.
Hey, quick,
Or just go
trademark-
back and be iMovie Isaac. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
things you could be.
Yeah, we could be here all night going up with
Flip
those
cam
names.
Fred.
if an application is making you money, especially hand over fist,
Yeah,
then it's
Yep.
like a small cost. Like I have a Cinema 4D license, the full,
Mhm.
so that's like $150 a month just for that.
Yeah.
I have Adobe full-on suite. I have multiple plugin packs that are subscription as well. So like just a month, just in my own subscriptions for my professional business, I'm probably spending about $900 a month. But the amount that it makes
Yeah, it
me,
generates.
that I'm doing
ROI positive.
exactly. So it's not even, it hurts when you have to make that first, like, oh, pay for the year. It's like, oh, that sucks. But then like, oh yeah, I'm making a whole bunch of money because I'm doing this. The fact that Final Cut is free, it's not costing me anything over the last decade.
Yeah.
It just, like, it's a free app. I have access to all the other applications, and I still go to Final Cut because of how fast I'm able to get the footage in. Because a lot of stuff that I do is offline. So I'm doing the first rough cut of something.
Right.
And I'll drop everything into the timeline. I'll put it in, I'll chop it up, and I'll spit out an XML, bring on that XML to Premiere, and then send that Premiere project to a client because that's what they want.
Wow.
Like, it's faster for me to do that than to
Yeah,
try
and
to
edit in Premiere.
Exactly. And
Yep.
a lot of people don't understand that. It's like, what do you mean you didn't cut that in Premiere? It's like, no, I just spat out a XML, and even though I have to use multiple applications to get that XML into
Yes. Send to
Premiere.
X, I think.
Yeah,
No,
like it's
it's
still worth that. Or if someone sends me an edit that's in Premiere, I'll do X to CC.
XCC,
then
yep.
Yeah, and then I'll do that round trip. I'm completely okay with that because I
Yep.
know how much faster I can edit in Final Cut as a standalone application. Now, if I have to do a collaborative workflow in, like, if I was in an edit bay, I would actually want to probably use Avid over all of the one, because
Yeah.
Avid is great when you have an editor at a workstation and then does their 8-hour shift. Next one comes in, they change their profile, and they continue on the same project or even in the same room. It's easy to set that up. I know you can probably do it in Premiere. You can have that where everyone's kind of editing from the same thing, but you can be working on the same project, different sections.
At the same time.
I think so. I'm pretty sure. And I know that Da Vinci has something like that where they'll lock sections or they'll lock different timelines within the same project.
Wow.
So yeah, it's like, I love where all this stuff is going, but Final Cut as something like, here, I need you to edit this. It's like, okay, fine. Like, I feel if I needed to work in a news cutting scenario, I'd be like, I need to use Final Cut. I can't edit fast enough to do this. And I think that's why a lot of news shows use Final Cut because of that.
Well, and with Final Cut, I think one of the really exciting things is that you're always ready to work on whatever updated Apple hardware they've come out with. And I know DaVinci and Adobe were pretty quick with rolling out the M1 compatibility for Premiere and Resolve. I have an editor friend who works in television who is out in Los Angeles, and he uses Avid for it. And he has had to preserve his 2010 Mac Pro cheese grater running Sierra in order to stay in Avid 17, Avid Media Composer 17, or whatever they're using on this television show, because they can't leave that locked in time moment from 2010 because the software, it has issues with whatever their workflow is. I know Avid is updated beyond whatever that version is, but for whatever reason, he's like editing on a 2010 Mac. And I'm like, I can't imagine being an Avid editor or an editor on another piece of software staring at these performance increases of these M1 and watching it all go by because Avid's not, and who knows when a small company like that is going to be ready to make all that stuff compatible with M1. Will they ever? They might not. I mean, I'd be very curious in the Avid, right. And Avid is not meant for YouTube videos, of course, but in high-end workflows, that's what kills me. That's sort of like
it's not?
That's the paradox of it. It is the premier system for the most highly regarded content in the world, the Marvel franchise, all this stuff. Yet people are editing on like a 2012 Mac Pro because they can't upgrade the software because it causes too many problems. And I know that's a generalization, but
a lot of these big shows, as soon as another show is greenlit. Now, I don't know how Marvel is, but I know that when it comes down to filmmaking, because I have a whole bunch of filmmaking buddies, that there are some of them that they budget out in their budget to build a new editing workstation just for that show. And they'll upgrade whatever they need to. And then once they're locked in, they don't update anything. They don't even plug it into the internet most of the times. And they'll just leave and they'll work on that project, that system, and then they'll sell the system after the show is done to kind of recoup some of that back. Because I know that if I was working on a big show, I wouldn't want to be updating anything. I wouldn't want to change anything if it's working, because if there's a day that you're trying to troubleshoot anything, that's bad news. Like the producers are just like literally fix it. You don't want to get into that position where something kind of craps out. And Final Cut is great if you're working on smaller productions where it's a little bit looser and you don't have the clients sitting in the room with you editing. It's a lot easier to be like, oh, my computer crashed. Where it's like if a computer crashes and the client is there, whoa, that's like that's it, burn everything. It's like it's not a good place to be.
Can I ask one question, Raphael? I don't know if you're thinking about wrapping up. I'm good to go for a little bit, but can I ask one question of the group?
No,
of course, yeah.
All right. So, Dylan, remember you told us that you brought your iMac to a Starbucks, right? And you worked on it?
Yeah.
All right. So, hypothetical situation, everyone. You walk into Starbucks, you see someone like Dylan editing on an iMac and Final Cut, and they have a gap clip on the primary storyline, and they're editing everything above it. What do you do?
First of all, I think he's a barista. And he's on his break. He doesn't know better.
Just trying to go through college, man. Leave me alone. Just pull on the cord really hard.
Yeah. Take my coffee and pour it down his shirt. Say nerd.
Oh, there's a gap between the plug and the wall. Well, I don't. Even that is, I'm fine as long as someone they like that workflow and it's speedy for them.
You don't want to judge them, Raphael? You don't want to, condemn them?
I tried it, so I can't judge them.
I'll say something. I do that sometimes, but then I'll hit Option Command down arrow to place them in. But
makes that sound.
That's right. No, that's a different one. Down is. Was that sound?
Make that your ringtone, man.
What is your sound effects pack?
My library is only me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's not as bad. I've seen people edit in After Effects, so don't even get me started on on that.
Wow.
That's just
that's brutal.
Let's do the final giveaways right now, since people are here and they're impatiently waiting for that. Let me know. Should we do Time Bolt or Color Finale? Let's do Time Bolt. We're gonna do Time Bolt, and then we're gonna do the final version of Color Finale. All right, let's.
Time Bolt, call me. Serious.
Great. Let's get that up there. We're gonna do Time Bolt. Here we go. Sorry, Dylan. Sorry, Serge.
It's okay. Nobody wants
to
do
worries.
anyway.
We're gonna do 1 to 1,000 again. Best of luck, everybody. Get the numbers rolling in right now. And I have a number. And it's a number for you guys. It's a number for you that's going to win a copy of Time Bolt. That'll
Somebody is
allow you
about
to
to win.
remove silences from your videos. Okay, let's get rid of this. Let's go to the comments. I got a number. So if you have a number between 1 and 1,000, let me know what it is.
Nice, Dylan. Nice.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So for a copy of Time Bolt, the number is, let's see. Ooh, that's close. Okay, get your numbers in. I know there's more people that are just lurking and creeping in the chat to get your number in for a copy of Time Bolt. I'm gonna hold off until their numbers are still coming in. Keep them coming.
This is like the general election.
Right.
We're still being.
And the
counted
winner
in
is, we're gonna have to wait a couple days. Come on. 29.
Oh, no,
Dylan, are you getting
Jones
another
back.
sign back there?
Overheated.
I've got to get my Time Bolt sign. Hang on.
What light are you using?
The oh no, it's out of battery. I'm using the
Oh.
VC.
Oh
know what?
man, you look so unprofessional now. Look at that backdrop. It looked
man.
so cool before, and now
It's hideous.
For anybody joining our live stream now, yeah. I will
All right, the
just be
numbers
a
are still
voice
coming in. I'm
avatar
gonna give-
from this point
I'm
on.
gonna give people a couple more seconds. Okay, we're just gonna take your first number as your guess. Everything else is null and void. All right. So I think we're good. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. The number is 818. 818.
What was it, 800?
18.
818.
There's an 899.
888.
888. There's also
He's
a,
back.
a
800 is
798 I
probably our
saw
winner.
somewhere. Who's the closest to 818? 800. That's the closest thus far. Wait, no, he put it in after. Did he put it in after? The very last one? I don't
It
know.
was right as you said it. I'd count him.
Yeah,
Count
don't
'em?
make us
Okay.
go back and look at the videotape to see exactly what time
Jeez.
it was.
We need an instant replay.
I was distracted
Okay,
by Dylan
for-
changing his light anyway. I may have
Yeah.
missed it for a second.
That was pinnacle of entertainment right there.
Jordan Chambers.
Jordan Chambers.
All right.
Let's go.
Nice.
Congratulations for your copy of Time
Enjoy
Bolt.
that Time Bolt. Time Bolt.
Right, make sure you find me on Instagram to let me know that you are the winner, and go check out Time Bolt. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Okay. I don't know what that is.
This is awkward now.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh well. No, he didn't. No, he didn't do it after I said the number. That's what I'm gonna.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it.
Congrats, Jordan. That's right. Let me get rid of this
Good
banner.
stuff.
So yeah, we're going to be wrapping up. But just before we wrap up, the last thing we will do is the final copy of Color Finale. So let's remove the banner, and just let's kind of just free chat. What would you recommend? How do you convince people to use? How do you convince people to use Final Cut? Like, what's your go-to? Like, you need to use this because.
Just try it.
Stop being
Yeah.
stupid. Be smart. Use
Yeah,
Final.
don't be
No, just kidding.
Smart like us.
I mean, a lot of times I've just dropped the stop paying the rent thing. That
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I've had friends and people. It's like, man, I'm so tired of paying this every month, because you realize you're not using. Most people probably aren't using a fourth of what's in the suite, but you're going to pay for it every month, and if they go up, you're going to keep paying. I mean, that's been the one thing. And then a couple of friends that I've gotten into editing that were doing a little on my iMovie and realized, oh wow, I could do I transitioned easily. I can do more, and they've just enjoyed it, and that's all they've needed.
Yeah.
People are still dropping in numbers. You can't get ahead for the next one.
They're on the
I would just say it allows us to create videos at a way faster rate than other people editing in like Resolve or Premiere. And if you were to sit down and watch a Final Cut Pro editor, if you know what you're doing, you would be surprised at how quick they can adjust and move things around and just edit their footage.
Yeah, and I think I was saying earlier, or with the new Mac hardware, it just becomes accessible for creators to get into 4K video editing with a simple compute, like $1,000 computer or laptop, and you put Final Pro on top of that. I don't use proxies. I'm pulling like files right off my cameras and shooting in log, and it just works. Like, I think that was the biggest thing. That combination of the M1 Max with Final Cut, like anyone can just work with 4K footage so easily now. It just lowers that barrier to entry and lowers that friction. So there's kind of like no excuse at this point, like to not get into like higher end video production versus just like phone stuff or whatever else people are doing. That's sort of my take on it. I don't know, like, editing just on your phone or whatever. Like if you want to make that jump to using a camera and using an NLE, like it's amazing what you can do with it.
Yeah, Final Cut just makes sense if you're an Apple user because it just transfers over. The learning curve is the least steep, I feel like, for somebody that's new to using these programs. Just go to Final Cut.
Oh, I'm going to stop your train of thought. The judges have come back to me, and apparently, so I want a full on
investigation.
Yeah, that was Jordan's.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That was his fourth guess?
That was his fourth guess. People were saying it's his second, so I went to go double check. There was four guesses.
Jordan,
I don't know, man.
Yeah, can't do that.
Too many. Two maybe would be okay, but four? That's cheating the system.
I'm counting four.
Because then if you add them all up, it'd be over 1,000. So, right?
That's right. I don't know. Should we do another number?
Yeah, do another one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do another number call for that one because that you guys are cheating. Can't do that. I'm gonna call you out on that, and everyone called you out. The chat got you.
Probably a Premiere user.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, Jordan.
Captain Rico's idea is
again. We gotta do it again. So put in one number and your first number, and we're gonna double check this time. We're gonna have to. We're pulling that back. So 1 to 1,000 going again. It was a group consensus. Don't just get angry at me. Unfollow. You can
just get mad at him.
Unfollow all
it's
of
his
us.
Channel, man.
Just send Raphael a DM. Just send him a DM.
So I got,
okay, and while you guys do this, I gotta sign off here. So thank you so much for having me.
Serge, you're the man.
Bye, Serge. See you, buddy.
Serge, you're a rock star, dude.
Go subscribe to Serge. We're almost done. Let's just do this. Okay, so the numbers are coming in.
By the way, should we say now it was actually Serge that kicked the other guy out? I mean, we would just throw that out now.
It was
he
Serge
disqualified the other guy.
It wasn't me. It
wasn't us.
It was
no,
all
I didn't
Serge.
see it. Yeah. I don't even know numbers.
Yep. Okay, so the number is, let's see, who's close? 1 second. The number is 672. Who's close?
669.
669 is close.
669. That's gotta be it.
669. Photo 360.
Produkcja.
Right. Photo 360.
Dylan, I just want to follow up on what we were talking about for a second. Because like I interact with a lot of creators that are like just getting into YouTube and stuff like that. And, I think a lot of people are looking for like, what software do I get into? And not much like when you're at a level where a lot of you guys are at, it's like, you guys are looking for certain things and certain tools and stuff like that. But a lot of people are just getting into it. They're like literally shooting their YouTube videos on their phones and trying to figure out how to like make that leap. So I think that's like a huge question mark that people want to like know what system to invest their time into. And I think there is a lot of people like buying a camera for the first time because
Yeah.
you can do pretty much everything on your phone.
Video is
I
hot
think
now.
it is, and developing those skills. And I think that was one thing that I was trying to decide, like when I started with Resolve, was like, are these the skills that I want to develop, and like, you know, down the road, like what's going to be more beneficial for me as I like work on a certain platform. So I don't know. I think I hear that a lot about like people like want to know where to start. So it's a solid question that, you know, we're at different levels than, you know, people just get into it. So anyways, yeah, I think Final Cut just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a great point. It looks, to those that are just jumping in the editing software, it may look like, I don't want to say childish, but it may look like not a professional editor because it
Simplified.
has colors. Yeah, it has colors that you can see the clip on the thumbnail. But all of that stuff, like all of you have mentioned, just makes it easier to edit, to get into that flow state. Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. It is about just getting the edit done. Like if someone said you need to work with Premiere Pro because it has better features, I would just be like, well, but it slows me down. They're like, but it has better features. I'm like, I don't care if it has better features. I want to get the project done. If there's a feature that like I really need, then I'll do that for that one shot. But like there isn't anything that is going to cross the entire edit that is going to hinder me, that will be able to force me to go to another project. Like if someone says, well, we need to deliver this to the client as a package in Premiere, okay, fine. That's a reason enough to do it. Because if you're starting to build graphics packages or using the plugins or doing any of that kind of stuff in that, and you want to send it off to a client, it's hard to recreate those things in Final Cut and then bring it back into Premiere and try to like that. That wouldn't make sense to try to recreate effects or titles or graphics that are available in Premiere if the client wants it. But that is the only use case that makes sense to me, to be forced to use Premiere. Does that make sense?
Use Premiere. Use it.
Well, you know, there's a comment. Raphael, do you see the comment from Seth right there?
So
I think
great.
this nails.
I have the brain of a 6th grader, basically.
Yeah. That's why I use it. That's why I use it right
middle
there.
schoolers
That's
who
the
figure
reason.
it out. Yeah. You know.
Well, who was saying that before? Like the colors and the way it looks, like that all plays into it. Like if it's enjoyable to use, you're gonna want to use it. It's like any tool that you like. If it's pleasurable, right? If it's fun to use, like you're gonna want to use it. So you can't discount that, you know.
Yeah, Premiere looks drab. It just looks so bland.
Wow. Just wailing on it.
Adobe.
No mercy.
That's how I pick
Well,
on
we
myself.
kind of knew that we would be doing that in this group. Like, it is the editor of choice. It's the one that we keep coming back to, because I know that every time I open up Premiere, I just feel like I'm grandpa and slowed down. Like, why can't I do this thing? Why is it taking me longer to do the whole edit? Like, I know that it's a fantastic application. It does a lot of different things, but like if it's really because of the color, you can do secondary color. It's just like, no, get out of here. That's just making excuses to use an application because you're comfortable in it. Great.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable. I've professionally done shows I've done documentaries in Avid. I've done television shows in Media 100. I've done television shows in Premiere. I've done television shows and graphics and animations in Final Cut. I use After Effects. I use Cinema 4D. I've used it all in a pro setting. The one I go back to is Final Cut because it's the speed, and I want to get stuff done because time is money, so forth and so on, right?
Well, and you're also, you know, it's possible that for all the things that you're capable of, Raphael, from color grading to sound mixing to all that stuff, the hat that you wear most is video editor. And when you look at all those applications, they are broadly capable of a lot of things in other areas of film post-production or video post-production, whatever. If you go back to when video editing was done, the video edit or film editing was done on film strip. That's all they did. They didn't color time the film. They didn't do the sound mixing. They didn't do any of that stuff. And I feel like Apple said this software primarily, and yes, we're going to have some color tools. We're going to have these other capabilities, but we want to focus on how you look at a bunch of film strips, clothesline to a string, and or running them through a moviola or whatever it was that they did back then. We want to look at that process alone, how you review what you have and turn it into what is the final product, and make that process as intuitive, simple, fast, and easy as possible. Whereas Premiere and the other track-based editors, as far as I know, that's a lot of log and transfer, tape-based editing, track-based, all that stuff. It's from a different form. And I think Final Cut went back to the roots of what film editing was, and it's represented it. And I think for all of us, again, that's the hat we mainly wear in our creative lives. And 2398, 23976, drop fame, interlace, this, that, like, we're not worried about that right now. We're worried about taking what we shot or what someone else shot and telling a story. And Final Cut, hands down, in my opinion, allows that to happen easiest and fastest.
Let me ask
It's a great quote, Matthew.
everybody in the panel, and also everyone in the chat. In Premiere, can you shorten a clip by 1 frame without getting a gap? Like just without having to do then a ripple delete. Is there a way just to shorten a frame or a clip by 1 frame? Like in Final Cut, where you shorten it by 1 frame, everything just stays.
And if you can, if there's a clip collision on one of your tracks, what happens? Does it let you keep doing it and overwrite the clip? Does it say, no, you can't do it?
Yeah, I think it overwrites it in Resolve.
So it's kind of messy.
See, that's the thing I love about Final Cut, where it's like, especially when you're using Audition, everything, you can have a longer shot just to see if an edit is working. Yeah, I don't think there is. I think you have to you trim it and then you ripple delete, and then it'll move over. So essentially, it's doing the magnetic timeline, but in 2 steps.
In 2 steps, yeah.
And but that's like if you're doing that constantly, that's a 100% increase of steps just to do a simple edit. Like, because there's always a client that says, yeah, can you shorten that by like 2 frames? And then you have to do like multiply that like 100 times over a long edit. Oh man, like, wouldn't you want to save time? Wouldn't you want to be someone that is able to do that very, very quickly? Because when it comes to editing, that's the editing part. And then if you once you learn the Control S and you're doing the J cuts and S cuts, and it just visually the timeline becomes cleaner. I love that. I love that you don't see those. Well, maybe it's not a good thing because you can't see where those are happening. But as an editor, you know when it's coming up, when the video leads the audio or vice versa. So like those are the things that I love, just the efficiency and the speed of the editing part of it. All the effects and graphics and all that kind of stuff that is secondary that you're going to do after you finish your base edit. Wouldn't you want to finish your base edit and then do the graphics? And I know there's people that are literally editing, building the graphics as they go. I can't change my brain space. I'd be like, I just need to have the base edit. And I know that the timing works. Then I can build on top of that and expand out and let the graphics breathe if they need to, instead of trying to figure it out as they go. Like, those are the things that I love about editing, being in that creative space. Where like, okay, this needs an extra breath to be here, and I can add that in later.
Yeah.
Aaron was talking about how, So, but Aaron, I think we were talking about like a single frame, and then it ripples when you do that single frame, and it pulls
everything behind it with it.
And I'm not sure that Resolve does that without having to. I mean, shift delete is the ripple delete, but I'm not sure if you can do a single frame, like just a trim left, period or comma.
I don't think so.
Yeah. He says those tools exist. I mean.
All right, fam. It's been real,
Okay,
but I gotta hop out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to split
let's
two
do
guys.
one last thing. We got color finale that we got to give away. So I want you to
We
stick
gotta
around
do
for
that.
that. And then
I'll
we're
do
gonna call it after that. Okay. So
Cool.
Do
this last thing we're doing, guys. Want to thank you right now. But yeah, let's do color finale. The last license for that. 1 to 1,000. Choose your number. Everyone that's in the chat right now. Let's get this going.
Go.
One guess only or one number only, please.
The first guess. So you can do. I don't care what you guys do after that, but we're gonna take your first guess. So we're gonna double check. All right. So I got the number. Bring it in. Someone hit it on the mark. Give me a bullseye.
What
That's
happens
so
if you get 2
hard.
bullseyes?
Well, then they have a battle royale.
Battle to the death.
That's right. It's going to be a speed editing challenge. That's actually something that I've been wanting to do. Give someone a script of like a 4-minute something, all the footage that goes along with it, like a scene, and give it to a Premiere editor and then a Final Cut editor, and just see who can get
That'd be fun.
a good version out fast. So not necessarily the fastest, but like I would be interested in seeing that, like people that are comfortable editing that kind of stuff. So
That's a good
do we
idea.
have all the numbers? Look at them. Look at them pour in. Look at that. All right. Is that all the numbers? I know there's some creepers that are in the chat. Don't be shy.
There are creepers in the chat. Just kidding.
There are viewers.
I think it might be done. Oh, one
It
more.
is YouTube, so there's always creepers.
Okay. So
Usually it's me in the corner.
I am closing the numbers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nothing else came in. Okay, the number is 515, and I think the winner is Camera Head Studios. That's the closest.
Yeah, he's been active in chat. Yeah.
Camera Head Studios for a free copy. For a free copy.
Nice.
Color
Oh,
finale.
what about Skylight? So what was his number? What was his number?
515.
It was 515. He was 555. You've got a 495 here.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's
oh,
20.
That is 20. There you go. Being fair.
I ain't no math expert.
I think
I didn't see 5 beside. Yeah, there you go. No,
Skylight
Sorry to
Sky Sight aerial imagery was 495.
495 is much closer.
Oh,
It's 20.
yeah.
Yeah, Skylight aerial
That's-
imagery.
Wow.
Sorry,
We're so
Matthew's
sorry.
gonna get so
Camera
much hate right
Studios.
now.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't call this why we chose math.
That's right. Why we chose math.
Pick a number
Um,
between
yeah.
1 and 2.
Where is it? I just want to double check. Just double check. I want to make sure that we're on the money. 495. Yes, Sky Sight aerial imagery. Hit me up on Instagram for your free copy of Color Finale. Guys, thank you so much for doing this roundtable of Final Cut Pro Love Fest.
So fun.
It was
Anytime.
great. Thank you, Raphael.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
this is great. Thanks.
for hopping on the channel and just saying hello and sharing your love for the application that we all love. And it's a great tool.
Yes.
And I hope that more people use it. And then they watch our channels to learn how to use it and get excited about making content. And everything is going to be a great, great place. So, guys, thanks for hanging out today. Everyone in the chat, thanks
Thank
for
you,
hanging
man.
out with us. Make sure you guys subscribe to everyone that's in the on the panel right now. Go follow on all their socials.
But
You can
not
find-
Surge.
Not Surge. No way, man.
Surge
But otherwise,
endorses all of
guys-
us, so just go for it.
Enjoy the rest of your day. And
Thanks, Raphael. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Peace.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Have a
We'll
good
see you
one.
on the Discord.
Appreciate
Bye for
it.
now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
I pushed the button. See you guys later.
All right.
Bye.
You're still live. You know that.
I know. I'm pushing the button. It's not letting me.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
on. I'm live all weekend.
All right. Later, guy. Bye.
Bye.